In a shabby apartment room, a man coldly plunges a dagger into his own neck. Blood erupts, he dies, then comes back to life only to do it again, and again, 4,090 times. How could the weakest F-class hunter, someone who can't even beat a low-level monster, possibly have such a horrifying revenge plan against the world's greatest hero? To find the answer, we must go back to the beginning. A news broadcast reports on the failure of the prestigious Black Dragon Guild on the 40th floor of a tower, despite their elite status. The news anchor confidently states that the cause was a rank 1 hunter, nicknamed the Flame Emperor. He successfully defeated the monster boss alone, setting a new record since the tower's appearance. When asked about his feelings, Yusuha greets the host with a tone of annoyance. Yusuha firmly asks the host to stop calling him by the nickname Flame Emperor. Yusuha complains that the nickname is very irritating and feels confused why the world continues to know him by that name when he has his own nickname. Meanwhile, Kim Gongja is watching the broadcast from his modest room. While watching a video of Yusuha threatening to beat up people who still call him by that nickname, Kim Gongja sees various comments from viewers. Some criticize Yusuha's rude attitude, while others defend him, saying his bad personality is unimportant given his status as a legendary hunter. Kim Gongja then starts typing in the comment section, repeatedly stating his desire to be like the Flame Emperor. Other comments chime in, debating rumors of Yusuha's relationship with a saintess. However, Kim Gongja continues to repeat his wish, even though another user is confused and asks for Kim Gongja's identity. Kim Gongja mutters that Yusuha is an extraordinary figure, like the protagonist in a novel, unlike himself who is just a supporting character. Kim Gongja feels envious of the man's wealth and success. Returning to the broadcast, Yusuha again insists that people call him by his real name, not the nickname he hates. The host then asks him to share success tips with other hunters. With a heavy sigh, Yusuha states that those who are destined for success will succeed, and Yusuha threatens that anyone who dares to challenge him will die. Those words surprise and confuse the audience. After the broadcast ends, Kim Gongja closes his laptop and cries, feeling very frustrated. Kim Gongja touches a newspaper on the wall that shows a photo of Yusuha, muttering that the man has looked down on other people, and Kim Gongja feels that it was directed at him. Kim Gongja imagines that if Kim Gongja had a talent like Yusuha from birth, Kim Gongja would not live in a cramped apartment and would not be looked down upon as a hunter. Kim Gongja again expresses his desire to be like Yusuha, or at least to get his power. Suddenly, a light appears and surprises Kim Gongja. Kim Gongja realizes that he has seen such a phenomenon thousands of times in videos, and suspects it is a skill card. A system notification appears and tells him that the tower has been shocked by the strong envy within him and has given him a skill. Kim Gongja is confused, but soon realizes that this is a golden card, the moment he has been waiting for. Kim Gongja reaches out to grab the card. After successfully grasping it, the system processes the creation of a skill card and explains its ability. You can copy a skill from an opponent who has killed you and make it your own. Kim Gongja reads the rule and feels disbelief in his ability, because he must die first to get it. A television broadcast explains the appearance of a mysterious tower that has attracted worldwide attention. Some lucky individuals were chosen to enter it and were granted special skills to fight monsters from another dimension. In a bar, Kim Gongja is watching an interview with a man who talks about Yusuha's greatness. The man describes Yusuha as a skillful spear fighter, as if he were the embodiment of a god. Kim Gongja asks his manager to change the channel, but the manager refuses, finding the news interesting and asking if Kim Gongja dislikes Yusuha. Kim Gongja denies it, then grumbles to himself about the bad luck he has experienced, causing his manager to think Kim Gongja is stupid and drunk. Kim Gongja ponders his strange new skill, which is only triggered when he is killed, and feels too ashamed to report it to the Hunter Association. In the afternoon, a drunken Kim Gongja stumbles, then collapses on the ground feeling his head spin. Suddenly, Kim Gongja hears a scream and overhears a conversation. Kim Gongja hears a woman named the Saintess asking Yusuha to back away. Yusuha, whom he knows as the Flame Emperor, accuses the Saintess of poisoning his drink with stomach acid. Yusuha says that he was suspicious from the start and if not for his skill, he might have been in trouble. The Saintess is shocked and tries to explain that Yusuha misunderstood, she just wanted to form a team with him. Yusuha admits that he had the same intention for a while, but has now changed his mind. The Saintess panics, begging to resolve the issue amicably. Kim Gongja, who is hiding, feels confused and panicked, realizing that their dating rumors were false. Kim Gongja wonders if this is a normal conversation between a couple. Yusuha then chokes the Saintess, saying that he will determine the rules of the conversation. Yusuha explains that he has a lie detection skill and asks the Saintess to nod as an answer. He asks who told her to kill him, and guesses it was an order from the Black Dragon Witch Guild. After the saintess nods resignedly, Yusuha confirms his guess and calmly says goodbye before summoning fire to burn the saintess, who screams in pain. Kim Gongja, seeing all this, is very shocked and realizes that Yusuha is not a hero, but a psychopathic killer. Kim Gongja tries to escape, but accidentally steps on a piece of glass. Yusuha, noticing his presence, suddenly appears from behind Kim Gongja and smirks. Kim Gongja freezes in fear, realizing that Yusuha's gaze is that of an experienced killer. Kim Gongja wonders how many people the man might have killed. As Yusuha gets closer, Kim Gongja begs for mercy, but Yusuha only scoffs at him. Kim Gongja tries to convince Yusuha that he saw nothing, but Yusuha does not believe him, chokes him, and asks who sent him. The shocked Kim Gongja feels that this world is crazy for idolizing someone like Yusuha. Kim Gongja tries to defend himself by saying that Yusuha only used his lie detection skill as an excuse to kill the saintess, which seemed suspicious. An angry Yusuha pushes him away and explains that he had to kill the saintess first before she poisoned him tomorrow. Kim Gongja asks how Yusuha could know about the saintess's plan, and Yusuha smiles secretively. Yusuha confirms that based on the lie detection skill, Kim Gongja is indeed innocent. Kim Gongja feels relieved and grateful, but suddenly Yusuha summons fire and says that since Kim Gongja knows too much, he must die. Kim Gongja is then burned to death. In his final moments, Kim Gongja hears voices from his past and feels regretful, thinking that he deserved a better life. A system appears and asks if Kim Gongja wants to choose a skill to copy. Kim Gongja agrees, and the system announces that the skill copying process is complete. Kim Gongja wakes up again in his room, hearing the laptop broadcasting the same news as before, about the Black Dragon Guild's failure on the 40th floor. Kim Gongja is shocked and confused, realizing that he has returned to the previous day. Kim Gongja checks his phone and realizes that everything he experienced was not a dream. Kim Gongja then looks at his hand and realizes that he has copied a skill from Yusuha. Kim Gongja understands that the skill allows him to return to the previous day after he dies. Kim Gongja finally understands the reason Yusuha killed the saintess and himself. It was part of a skill to detect future threats. Kim Gongja listens again to Yusuha's words on the laptop, which say, "Those who are destined for success will succeed, but when you are successful, don't you dare try to challenge me, you will die." Kim Gongja smiles cynically, repeating those words to himself, "Let's see who will die this time." Kim Gongja is startled by a panic scream from outside. He immediately realizes that the raging fire he sees is evidence of the saintess's murder by Yusuha, who burned the entire area to cover his tracks. People around him rush out to extinguish the flames. Kim Gongja realizes that the place he lives is a city inhabited by hunters, unlike the outside world. He looks at the clock and sees that the time is the same as when he got drunk and returned to his apartment. Someone with water magic is ordered to help put out the fire, and they announce that the Black Dragon Guild will take control of the situation. Kim Gongja mutters to himself that this city has many names, such as Babylon, First Floor City, or Fashion Show City, and the bottom line is that it's a difficult city to live in. The residents there seem accustomed to such extreme situations. One hunter wonders why the saintess has not arrived yet, as she is never late in an emergency. Another hunter replies that the saintess is probably busy dating because she is often seen with Yusuha. Suddenly, Yusuha appears and grumbles, asking who dared to start a fire without his permission. Kim Gongja, seeing Yusuha's arrival, realizes that he is now in the middle of a crowd. A hunter thanks Yusuha for coming. However, Yusuha arrogantly asks what he gets from helping them, considering himself a crazy psychopath for asking for a reward for the chaos he created himself. A hunter suggests that this is a good opportunity for Yusuha to get a positive public rating. But Yusuha refuses, saying that he does not care about other people's opinions and is not interested in charity work, then says goodbye. Kim Gongja mutters that he did not expect a rank 1 hunter to behave like that. He realizes that the people there only see the Flame Emperor as an eccentric hero, and only he knows his true nature as a cold-blooded killer. Kim Gongja feels that he must kill Yusuha. His body moves on its own, approaching the flames. A man in a blue hat tries to stop him, but Kim Gongja pushes his hand away and continues to step forward. The man shouts for Kim Gongja not to go near the point of the fire. Kim Gongja sets himself on fire, feeling incredible pain, but he believes this is the only way to kill Yusuha. His mind is filled with the system saying, "You have returned, you will return to the time 24 hours before your death." Kim Gongja wakes up again in his room. The system appears and says there is no penalty for using the skill. Kim Gongja realizes that he cannot defeat Yusuha with his current strength. Even if he succeeds, Yusuha will also return to the time 24 hours before his death because he has the same skill. Kim Gongja then thinks, the only way to kill Yusuha is to go back in time, to a time when Yusuha had not yet acquired that skill. Kim Gongja picks up a nearby sword and recalls the television interview where Yusuha said that he received his skill in the summer, at the age of 21. Yusuha said he could remember the details clearly because it was his birthday. Kim Gongja calculates that that day is June 7th, about 4,050 days from today. This means that Kim Gongja must die 4,050 times to be able to go back to the day when Yusuha did not yet have the power. The system appears again, saying that Kim Gongja has died and will return to 24 hours before his death. Kim Gongja wakes up again, takes the sword, and kills himself again. He continues to do so, dying and waking up again, counting down day by day. Kim Gongja repeatedly kills himself with the same sword, every time he wakes up. He feels desperate, but continues to count down, 20 days left, 543 days left, until finally, 1 day left. The ticking of the wall clock marks the silence in the room. Kim Gongja wakes up and immediately stands up, looking at the clock. He has finally managed to return to the time when the Flame Emperor had not yet received his skill. Kim Gongja takes a deep breath, realizing that he has died more than 50 times, including the time he needed to rest. Kim Gongja says that he did this to prove that the legend of the devil is not immortal. Kim Gongja grabs his hoodie and decides to go find breakfast, marking the beginning of his big plan. The wall clock shows 11 a.m., May 6, 11 years ago. Kim Gongja stands outside Yusuha's apartment building, observing Yusuha who has just woken up. Yusuha complains of a headache from drinking too much last night. Kim Gongja mutters to himself, feeling satisfied that he has replayed the day 10 times to ensure his plan is perfect. At 9 a.m., Yusuha wakes up in his dorm. He picks up his spear and says that he feels it is time to go to work and that his life sucks. 3 hours later, at 3 p.m., Yusuha is seen hunting slimes on the second floor of the tower. He feels bored, complaining about his daily routine of only hunting slimes and wondering when he can live a life of luxury. Kim Gongja observes that at 21, Yusuha is just a hunter who hopes to get a golden ticket, like a lottery or a valuable skill. Yusuha muses that his wish will come true in the next week. Suddenly, a slime attacks Kim Gongja, but he easily kills it. Kim Gongja thinks that a bright future will never come again for someone like Yusuha. At 5:31 p.m., Yusuha decides to move to the 6th floor, a place rarely visited by rookie hunters because of its higher difficulty. 36 minutes later, Yusuha, now alone, hears footsteps and a voice calling him. He is surprised and turns, finding Kim Gongja who is pretending to be a victim of a wolf attack. Kim Gongja pleads for help and asks for a potion. Yusuha refuses, saying that he struggles to meet his own needs. Yusuha points his spear, demanding Kim Gongja pay for the expensive potion because of his failed hunt that day. Kim Gongja offers 20 gold, but Yusuha considers the offer too low for a person's life. Kim Gongja raises his offer to 40 gold. Yusuha smiles cynically, saying he will take everything Kim Gongja has, then pushes Kim Gongja down and takes his money. Yusuha counts his money and mocks Kim Gongja's poverty. Kim Gongja says it is all his savings, and Yusuha replies condescendingly, saying he will use the money wisely. Kim Gongja asks again for the promised potion, but Yusuha instead thinks about killing Kim Gongja because he is worried Kim Gongja will seek revenge later. Yusuha points his spear and tells Kim Gongja to just die. However, Kim Gongja easily dodges the attack and immediately retaliates. Kim Gongja attacks and kills Yusuha. Kim Gongja thinks that by killing Yusuha, he has prevented millions of possibilities that would have happened in the future, and ensures Yusuha will never receive any skills. Although he feels relieved, Kim Gongja realizes something is off. Kim Gongja remembers that Yusuha always mentioned his name when killing him in the future, as if Yusuha were a knight involved in a holy duel. Kim Gongja is furious, realizing that Yusuha is just a hypocrite who pretends to be honorable even though he has killed many people. Kim Gongja then sees a group of wolves come out of their hiding and lets them eat Yusuha's body. Kim Gongja buries all of Yusuha's belongings and returns to the first floor. Kim Gongja feels relieved that it is all over. Arriving in the city, Kim Gongja sees the vigilante team on guard. Kim Gongja takes a deep breath, feeling calm because no one knows what happened. At the bar, Kim Gongja happily orders a beer. The bar manager, seeing the cheerful Kim Gongja, asks if he had a successful day. Kim Gongja affirms, feeling satisfied with his success. When he looks at his status screen, Kim Gongja realizes that he does not have a fighting skill, and he considers himself greedy for wanting more than what he has now. Kim Gongja then thinks of various ways to use his skill, such as winning the lottery or selling information about clearing the upper floors. Suddenly, an old man enters the bar and asks for warm milk with honey, which makes Kim Gongja surprised by his strange request. The man is Marcus Sellenbury, or known as the Sword Saint. People in the bar whisper, surprised to see him. Kim Gongja realizes that Marcus was the rank 1 hunter before the Flame Emperor appeared. Kim Gongja realizes that the old man must have many strong skills, not just a strange skill like the one he has. Kim Gongja reconsiders his skill that can copy another hunter's skill after he is killed. Kim Gongja thinks that if he is killed by the Sword Saint, he will get a strong fighting skill, and that will be the best path for him. Inside the bar, Marcus Sellenbury enjoys his ordered milk. Kim Gongja observes Marcus, whom he considers mysterious because there is no accurate information about him, only rumors. Kim Gongja wishes Marcus were as open as Yusuha. Marcus suddenly talks to himself, telling someone to be quiet and understand his feelings. Kim Gongja mutters to himself that the rumors about Marcus often talking to himself are true. In the comments section, a warning appears about things not to say in front of the Sword Saint. The comment contains a true story that a few days ago, the Sword Saint killed another hunter. However, there is one fatal thing: never mention his granddaughter if you do not want to die. Kim Gongja immediately takes note of this important information. Marcus shouts in frustration, saying that he will handle it himself and cannot drink vodka because of the disturbance. After finishing his drink, Marcus pays and leaves. Kim Gongja also immediately pays and follows Marcus, thinking that it will be easy to find the man because of his unique clothing. Kim Gongja wonders what skill he will get from the Sword Saint. If Yusuha's skill was extra skill return, then the Sword Saint's skill must be even greater, maybe a kind of cheat skill that will make him much stronger. Kim Gongja just needs a little luck. Marcus suddenly stops and says, "This place should be adequate. Come on, young man." Kim Gongja realizes Marcus has noticed his presence. Marcus tells him to come out, and Kim Gongja comes out of his hiding, pretending to ask for help. Marcus is immediately suspicious, accusing Kim Gongja of deliberately following him with bad intentions and wondering why Kim Gongja is not carrying a weapon. Marcus thinks Kim Gongja is a great actor, from the assassin class. Kim Gongja is shocked, confused about how Marcus could mistake him for an assassin when Kim Gongja is just an F rank. However, Kim Gongja realizes that this is a good opportunity to die and copy Marcus's skill. Kim Gongja tries to back away and apologizes. Marcus does not believe him, saying that he has a skill that can see how many people someone has killed. Kim Gongja knows he has killed Yusuha and himself repeatedly, but he swears that he had a good reason. Marcus takes off his hat and says he is disgusted to see a demon who has killed so many people wanting to make excuses. Kim Gongja is confused, saying he only killed one person, Yusuha. Marcus does not believe him and says he can clearly see the number 491 above Kim Gongja's head. Kim Gongja finally realizes that Marcus does not see the number from his point of view, but from the point of view of others. Marcus then asks if Kim Gongja was sent by the Black Dragon Witch. Kim Gongja realizes that in Marcus's eyes, he is a serial killer with 491 victims. He realizes that he will always be Marcus's enemy, no matter what. Marcus then attacks Kim Gongja with all his might. Kim Gongja manages to dodge the first sword attack, and Marcus is surprised, praising Kim Gongja's ability as an assassin. Marcus continues to attack until Kim Gongja starts to get tired. Kim Gongja realizes that he cannot keep dodging. Marcus continues to talk to himself, saying he wants to interrogate this demon. Kim Gongja thinks that Marcus might be suffering from Alzheimer's or has a telepathy skill that makes him talk to others. He panics, realizing that he could become a fugitive if Marcus shares information about him. He must die quickly before 24 hours pass. Kim Gongja suddenly shouts to provoke Marcus's emotions, asking, "Is your granddaughter okay?" Kim Gongja reminds Marcus about his family and his position as the Sword Saint. An enraged Marcus immediately attacks Kim Gongja. Kim Gongja realizes the attack is so fast he cannot even see it. He feels great envy and wishes he could be as strong as Marcus. He thinks, "I want to be like him, I am so envious." The system appears, "You have died." Kim Gongja is excited, convinced he will get a skill choice from the Sword Saint. He waits for the golden card, but there is nothing. He is confused, why is there no golden card at all? Kim Gongja woke up in a daze, staring at a cluster of skill cards in front of him. Unlike Yusuha, Marcus Sellenbury, known as the Sword Saint, didn't seem to have an obvious golden card. Kim Gongja concluded that Marcus's greatness didn't come from a single, incredible skill. The system had shuffled his choices, showing him 3 silver cards and 4 bronze ones. Kim Gongja hoped he wouldn't get the kill count skill, which could show a person's victim tally. He suspected that skill was among those cards. He was hoping for a cheat-like skill, something cool and active. Unfortunately, his hopes were dashed. The system picked a card for him, and Kim Gongja woke up back in his room, 24 hours before his death. In a panic, Kim Gongja immediately opened his hunter status screen. He found a new passive skill. Grumbling, he complained about not getting a cool active skill like he'd hoped for, but another passive one instead. Still, he was grateful because this skill was the same rarity as Yusuha's skill. However, as he tried to read the new skill's description, a mysterious, translucent voice spoke to him. It was a see-through man who was grumbling, scolding Marcus for training in the middle of the night. Kim Gongja was shocked and asked who he was. The translucent man was just as surprised, and he shot back, "You can see me?" Kim Gongja was shocked, and the translucent man in front of him was just as shocked. They both couldn't believe Kim Gongja could see and hear him. Kim Gongja, with his quick mind, immediately figured out that the man was the spirit of the Sword Saint and asked where Marcus was. The translucent man confirmed it, calling Marcus a rookie disciple with the nickname Sword Saint. He grumbled about not being able to see anything from the small window inside Kim Gongja. Kim Gongja guessed again that he had accidentally copied the man's spirit, who turned out to be Sword Storm, the real Sword Saint. The man was shocked and furious, demanding that Kim Gongja return him to Marcus. He ordered Kim Gongja to cancel the skill, but Kim Gongja said he couldn't. The man called Marcus a stupid disciple who had let him be kidnapped by a lousy kid like Kim Gongja. Kim Gongja told him to shut up. The man got even angrier, saying he had told Marcus to worship the ground he walked on, which left Kim Gongja confused. Kim Gongja tried to calm the situation, telling him to live peacefully, but the man insisted he was already dead. Kim Gongja then told him to just die peacefully. The translucent man became truly enraged, feeling insulted. Kim Gongja complained that he not only had to hide from the Sword Saint but also got a trash skill. The translucent man was surprised and said Marcus's kill count skill was just garbage that could only distinguish killers from non-killers. Kim Gongja explained that the number 4091 above his head was the number of times he had died. He told the story of how he returned 11 years from the future after killing himself 4090 times to get revenge on Yusuha, whom he killed once. He also explained that he got the return skill from Yusuha, which allowed him to go back 24 hours before he was killed. The man was impressed and asked for Kim Gongja's name. Kim Gongja, he replied. The man asked why Kim Gongja stole a skill from Marcus. Kim Gongja casually explained that Marcus was the strongest, and the fastest way to get stronger was to take skills from the strongest people. The translucent man realized he couldn't tell anyone else because his skill only allowed Kim Gongja to sense his presence. He then praised Kim Gongja's persistence and ambition. They both then went to the training ground. The translucent man, who was Sword Storm, asked Kim Gongja to kill some monsters. Kim Gongja easily killed a slime. Sword Storm, known as the hunter who cleared the tower up to the 99th floor in another world, said he could see a hunter's talent. He wanted to see Kim Gongja hunt because he saw great potential in him. Kim Gongja refused, saying he had no talent for fighting. However, Sword Storm insisted that Kim Gongja had a talent no one else had. He wasn't afraid of dying. Kim Gongja had died more than 400 times, and that had surpassed his fear of death. Kim Gongja had never thought his deaths could be a talent. Sword Storm asked what Kim Gongja thought when he saw Marcus's last attack. Kim Gongja replied that the attack was beautiful. Sword Storm laughed loudly, finding the answer very intriguing. He said that because Kim Gongja's skill was to copy, not steal, Marcus still had his spirit. He decided to help Kim Gongja become stronger until he could defeat Marcus. Not long after, Sword Storm woke Kim Gongja up in the middle of the night, shouting, "Hey, Gongja, why aren't you up yet?" Kim Gongja complained, asking for 5 more minutes. Sword Storm got angry, saying Marcus had probably already cleared the 10th floor and Kim Gongja still wanted to sleep. He threatened to sing a song from his hometown until Kim Gongja woke up. An annoyed Kim Gongja finally got up and yelled, asking what time it was. Sword Storm replied that it was only 4 a.m., and he was already working. Kim Gongja accused Sword Storm of waking him up because he was bored and couldn't sleep. Sword Storm admitted it but still told Kim Gongja to be grateful and bow to him. Kim Gongja yelled that he would kill him, and Sword Storm mocked him, saying he was already dead and couldn't die again. He even changed Kim Gongja's name to Kim Zombie. A moment later, Kim Gongja was jogging in the morning. Sword Storm, who was always with him, reminded him that Kim Gongja had no talent and was still below the basic level. Kim Gongja mumbled that it had been 45 days since he copied Sword Storm's skill. Swordstorm praised Kim Gongja's bottomless well potential and said he would give him a special guide, but Kim Gongja had to pay a high price. Kim Gongja had to win the lottery first to get that guide. There's a guild called Sangryun, officially known as the Merchant Union Guild. This guild is led by a countess, a rank 3 hunter who has a special skill for trading with the outside world. Because of this skill, Sangryun has managed to monopolize the tower's economy. Kim Gongja entered the guild and was greeted warmly by an employee wearing cat ears, just like all the other employees. Kim Gongja muttered to himself that this was the only place in Babylon that sold lottery tickets. He handed over his ticket, and the employee welcomed him as the Sangryun lottery winner. Swordstorm wondered why all the employees were wearing cat ears. Kim Gongja explained that their guild master was a cat lover. The employee checked the ticket's date and confirmed that Kim Gongja had bought it last week, just as he said. The employee was shocked when the ticket won the grand prize. Swordstorm commented that making money was easy. The employee nervously called the manager right away. Kim Gongja told Swordstorm that he had learned from previous experience, where he got robbed after winning the lottery. Swordstorm warned him to be careful, but Kim Gongja explained that the lottery winner's identity couldn't be kept a secret. The Sangryun manager, Arthur Taylor, also known as the Sheep King, arrived and welcomed Kim Gongja, leading him upstairs. Kim Gongja realized the manager must be a top hunter because he had an alias. Inside the VIP room, the manager showed Kim Gongja his prize, 53,000 gold. Kim Gongja thought that amount of money was equivalent to $5 million in his world, and he could live comfortably forever. The manager suggested that Kim Gongja store the gold in the guild for safety. Kim Gongja agreed, but on the condition that he also wanted to buy an honorary membership in Sangryun. He paid 10,000 gold to become a second-class honorary member. Swordstorm praised Kim Gongja's cleverness, as being a guild member would give him protection in this dangerous city. Kim Gongja explained that he didn't want to be stupid like Yusu Ha, who was almost poisoned for refusing the protection of a major guild. Kim Gongja also asked the manager to find him a good place to live and to keep his identity a secret from reporters. Kim Gongja requested that the manager say the lottery winner was a confidential honorary member of the Sangryun Guild. The manager was surprised by his careful preparations. Swordstorm laughed, mocking the manager's face for thinking Kim Gongja was submissive. Kim Gongja responded calmly, saying that in this wide world, he had to be prepared. Kim Gongja also muttered to himself that he wouldn't be a cocky emperor like the Flame Emperor. Swordstorm, who overheard the muttering, praised Kim Gongja and said he didn't need to teach him about that anymore. Kim Gongja was happy because this was the beginning of his plan, and he would enjoy the power he got after dying more than 4,000 times. When they left the guild, Swordstorm reminded Kim Gongja about the most important part of his plan, using the money to buy skill scrolls or potions to improve his physical abilities. Swordstorm said that for Kim Gongja's level, potions were the best choice. He told Kim Gongja to look for chemical powder, a rare potion made only by the greatest alchemist there. Kim Gongja asked for the price, and Swordstorm whispered the amount, which shocked Kim Gongja. Kim Gongja said he could only buy 4 or 5 bottles. Suddenly, Swordstorm told Kim Gongja to hide. Kim Gongja was surprised, but he immediately sensed danger and hid. Swordstorm explained that the potion shop they were going to was a place frequently visited by Marcus, the Sword Saint. Kim Gongja was shocked by Swordstorm's sudden warning. He glanced toward the dumpster where they were hiding and saw Marcus looking in their direction. Kim Gongja was worried about being caught, but Marcus just turned and continued on his way. Swordstorm was relieved and told Kim Gongja to hurry to the potion shop because he was sure Marcus was going to buy all the potions there. Kim Gongja was silent for a moment, then said that going to the same shop as the Sword Saint was too dangerous. Kim Gongja then realized he no longer needed to buy the potion there because he knew a great alchemist who could make it for cheap. So, Kim Gongja led Swordstorm to the slums where the alchemist lived. Swordstorm couldn't believe a genius alchemist would live in a dump like that, but Kim Gongja assured him. They saw a commotion there. A woman was being yelled at by several debt collectors who were threatening to take her equipment. Kim Gongja knew he was in the right place. The woman begged for a week's time, but the debt collectors didn't believe her because she always broke her promises. One of the collectors told the woman to find another job, and the people around them started whispering that her shop was about to go bankrupt. The woman heard their whispers and defended herself, saying her potions were of the highest quality at a very affordable price, and they should be grateful she opened a shop in these slums. Swordstorm mocked the woman, saying she didn't look like the genius Kim Gongja was talking about. But Kim Gongja calmly approached the woman and asked if her shop was still open. Kim Gongja knew this woman was the master alchemist, a genius who would become the head of the alchemy castle. Kim Gongja offered her an expensive order, about 20,000 gold. The woman was shocked. Kim Gongja explained that he wanted to form a connection with her. The woman agreed and invited Kim Gongja into her messy shop. Sword Storm was doubtful, but Kim Gongja assured him and said he would pay in advance. The woman was surprised and asked him not to bother. Kim Gongja told her to take the advance payment she needed from the Sangrian Guild, and the woman finally accepted. The woman then asked what kind of potion he needed. She warned Kim Gongja that she would not make illegal drugs. Kim Gongja reassured her, saying she didn't need to worry because he wasn't asking for illegal drugs. He needed a potion that could increase his reaction speed. Sword Storm, who was now confident in the woman, gave her the recipe: the heart of a pig rabbit, the eye of a cat, a balloon, the skin of a giant desert worm, and the tail of a ground lizard. The woman confirmed a total of 23 ingredients. Sword Storm said the recipe could increase reaction speed. The woman nodded, saying the recipe would increase metabolism and that it was a high-grade potion. Kim Gongja asked how fast she could make the potion, and the woman replied, for days, as long as she had enough money. After leaving, Sword Storm was worried that Kim Gongja had wasted his money, as he didn't trust alchemists who were sweet talkers but lacked skill. But Kim Gongja said he trusted the woman because she would become the master alchemist in the future. Kim Gongja asked Sword Storm where he learned the recipe. Sword Storm said he concocted it himself after trying various types of poisons. Kim Gongja became more and more confident in their choice. But Sword Storm, still not convinced, bet that the woman would run away with Kim Gongja's money. 4 days later, the alchemist girl showed up with 3 boxes, each containing 30 potions. She apologized for giving them to him too soon, even though it took her longer than expected to try out different combinations. Kim Gongja was relieved that the potions would last him for 30 days. He muttered to himself that this was way more efficient than what Sword Storm had suggested. Sword Storm, who overheard his thoughts, immediately roasted Gongja. The alchemist was curious, asking why Kim Gongja would pay so much for an unknown alchemist like her. She was confident in her skills, but people always treated her like she was crazy. Gongja replied that he did it because the girl seemed just like him, she had great potential, wasn't fooled by the Flame Emperor, and was kind and good-natured. Gongja added that he wanted to be friends with great people like them so they could help each other in the future. He was sick of seeing crazy people like the Flame Emperor succeed. Gongja assured the girl that everything he said was serious and sincere. The girl was touched and agreed with Gongja. She promised to prioritize his requests whenever he had them. Gongja was happy to hear that. Sword Storm, still in disbelief, mocked Gongja's words, but Gongja ignored him and told him to continue their training. The next day, they moved to the 3rd floor of the tower. Kim Gongja complained that the monsters on the 3rd floor were too tough to fight and asked what he should do. Sword Storm told him to drink the new potion. Gongja drank it and was shocked because it tasted so weird. Sword Storm smiled and said, "Incredible." Gongja felt something strange inside him, his head felt like it was going to explode. Sword Storm explained that the potion increased his perception, allowing Gongja to see a different reality. He told Gongja to feel aura, a power that exists within every hunter. Most hunters go through their lives without ever being aware of aura, but Sword Storm said it was the key to a hunter's power. He explained that normally, a person has to meditate to feel aura, but with the potion, Gongja could feel it directly. He warned Gongja to release his aura or he would die. Gongja, who was confused, asked about this ghost aura. Sword Storm mocked him for not being able to use aura and said if he didn't like it, he could just kill himself, which would add to Marcus's kill count skill. Kim Gongja felt the effects of the potion he drank, making the monster in front of him feel incredibly slow. But, Kim Gongja realized that even though he could predict the attacks, his body wasn't responding correctly. Sword Storm kept encouraging Kim Gongja not to give up. Sword Storm explained that the orc monster was a low-level monster with a simple attack pattern, and Kim Gongja just needed to gather aura in his legs to move. Kim Gongja muttered that it was easy to say but hard to do. Kim Gongja forced himself to channel aura into his legs and successfully dodged the monster's attack. Sword Storm was impressed, saying it was harder than he thought because Kim Gongja's body didn't have the proper tunnels for the aura to flow. Sword Storm made an analogy that Kim Gongja's body was like a small, remote mountain path that needed to be turned into a highway. Kim Gongja was frustrated, but he knew the sword spirit was right. Kim Gongja then asked what would happen if he managed to overcome this. Sword Storm replied that Kim Gongja would no longer be killed by Marcus. Kim Gongja once again successfully dodged the monster's attack and turned, jumping with his knife. Kim Gongja stabbed his knife, but it didn't work because the orc's skin was too thick. Kim Gongja gathered all of his aura at the tip of his sword, dragged his sword down, and successfully killed the monster. After the attack, Kim Gongja felt an incredible pain. Sword Storm asked if it hurt and explained that Kim Gongja's weak body wasn't ready to use aura carelessly. However, Sword Storm praised Kim Gongja for successfully suppressing his aura. Sword Storm asked again if Kim Gongja felt like dying. Kim Gongja was annoyed that the spirit kept asking the same thing, but Sword Storm said that Kim Gongja had a unique ability to come back to life. Sword Storm felt jealous, but he reminded him that Kim Gongja's death count would keep increasing if he kept killing himself. Sword Storm suggested they find another training method. Suddenly, another orc appeared and hit Kim Gongja. A notification appeared, "You have died." Kim Gongja woke up in the netherworld with a headache. Sword Storm also appeared and admired the world. Kim Gongja explained that he would hear the system's voice, and the system would randomly copy the orc monster's skill. Sword Storm was shocked and called it a cheat skill. He wondered why that divine skill was given to a low-level hunter like Kim Gongja, not to a great hunter like himself. Kim Gongja focused on the monster skill cards, and Sword Storm asked if Kim Gongja was going to choose one. Kim Gongja replied that it didn't matter because he couldn't see the contents of the cards. Sword Storm said he could see the other side of the cards because he could fly. He offered to read the contents. Sword Storm read the first card, which contained an orc reproduction skill, but with the side effect of a fever for a year. The second card contained a skill that would make the user always say "suyu" and be stuck in that condition. Kim Gongja thought both skills were garbage, but he felt "suyu" was better. Sword Storm asked him to reconsider, but Kim Gongja had already pressed the system button and successfully took card number 2, making Sword Storm scream. Kim Gongja woke up again, back to 24 hours before. He was happy that his level F hunter skill had no penalty. Kim Gongja praised Sangryun as the best place with a comfy bed. Sword Storm grumbled to himself, thinking Kim Gongja couldn't fool him. Kim Gongja shot back, saying no one would choose the orc reproduction skill anyway. Kim Gongja then told Sword Storm to stop whining and get back to training. Sword Storm suggested Kim Gongja train by sitting still in a lotus position, but Kim Gongja didn't care. Kim Gongja drank a potion and went straight to the 3rd floor. He took out his knife, put all his aura on the tip, and attacked the orc in front of him. Kim Gongja muttered that Sword Storm needed to fix his habits. Sword Storm, who saw this, was confused. Kim Gongja muttered again that the orc's movements looked slow. Kim Gongja activated his orc language skill, which surprised the monster. Kim Gongja quickly stabbed and slashed the orc's neck, killing it instantly. Sword Storm was shocked and annoyed, accusing Kim Gongja of cheating. He felt that Kim Gongja was toying with the innocent orc. Kim Gongja ignored him and told Sword Storm to follow him to the 4th floor. A week later, Kim Gongja was on the 5th floor, facing the King Goblin, the 5th floor boss monster. Kim Gongja activated his goblin language skill and stabbed the Goblin King's heart with his knife. Kim Gongja posed dramatically, saying the Goblin King was his strongest enemy this week. Sword Storm was bothered by this and thought Kim Gongja's acting was over the top. Kim Gongja got annoyed that he was being interrupted and said he had defeated the monster boss after dying 5 times. Sword Storm didn't care and felt the fight was unfair. Gongja got mad again, saying he had fought honestly by sacrificing 5 of his lives. Suddenly, a system notification appeared. Kim Gongja was happy he had leveled up. The system informed him that Kim Gongja was now a rank F hunter. The notification also showed sparks, which Sword Storm said might be a hint. Sword Storm explained that a person's shape of aura is based on a past trauma or an important event. He guessed Kim Gongja's shape of aura was fire or blood. Gongja asked about Marcus's. Sword Storm explained that Marcus's shape of aura was a round shape, like the moon, which he saw when he got lost in the mountains at the age of 12. That memory had shaped his shape of aura. Sword Storm suggested they go up to the 6th floor, but Kim Gongja wanted to go straight to the 10th. Sword Storm thought Kim Gongja was too cocky. Kim Gongja made a bet, if he couldn't clear the 10th floor with just 2 lives, he would call Sword Storm master. Sword Storm thought the bet was ridiculous, but he agreed on the condition that Kim Gongja had to tell him what skill the 10th floor boss had. Kim Gongja agreed but added that if he won, Sword Storm had to call him Gongjanim, a title of honor. Sword Storm got angry, called Kim Gongja a coward, and agreed to teach him. The two of them argued in front of people who saw Kim Gongja talking to himself and thought he was crazy. At the gate leading to the 10th floor boss area, a guard stopped Kim Gongja. The guard was surprised to see Kim Gongja alone and warned him that even the Black Dragon Guild with its 34 members had failed to conquer that floor. The guard explained that he had to record the names of the hunters who entered, and he would feel guilty letting someone go to their death. Sword Storm, who overheard the conversation, found it strange because in his world, the Hunter Association didn't act like that. Kim Gongja thought hard, then he confessed that he was there to kill himself. He told a sad, fake story, saying his partner had died a year ago and his mother was now suffering from an incurable disease with only a year left to live. Kim Gongja said he couldn't live without the people he loved, and rather than waiting for death, he preferred to die fighting a monster. The guard was saddened and moved by Kim Gongja's story. Kim Gongja then gave the guard money for his mother's medical treatment. The guard refused, but Kim Gongja insisted. He said he was going to die soon, and he wanted to leave one last legacy. His final request was not to have his name recorded on the entry list. The guard understood and allowed Kim Gongja to enter. Kim Gongja then entered the boss monster area. Sword Storm, who saw the interaction, was confused by the drama that unfolded. Inside a house, Kim Gongja saw many creepy dolls and muttered that this was the place that Yusuha was supposed to conquer. Kim Gongja felt that he would write a legend greater than the Flame Emperor. Kim Gongja opened the boss monster's door, and the dolls spoke. They invited Kim Gongja to play hide-and-seek, saying that the Hellfire Maiden would melt the ice and the wolf would die. The dolls kept inviting Kim Gongja to play. A system notification appeared: you have entered the boss area. Number of challengers, 1 person. Kim Gongja accepted their invitation and said he would play. Meanwhile, the news reported the Black Dragon Guild's 10th failure on the 30th floor. A reporter asked for the reason for the failure, and the guild leader replied that it wasn't because of skill, but because of bad luck. In the past, Yusuha once told a reporter that luck was also a skill, which was a declaration of his future conquest of the tower. Kim Gongja had one question among all the hunters: why was the Flame Emperor the only one who could conquer the 10th floor? The system displayed a notification: entering boss monster area, Hellfire Maiden. Back inside the house, the dolls once again invited Kim Gongja to play hide-and-seek. Kim Gongja then prepared himself and took his fighting stance. Entering the 10th floor, Kim Gongja was immediately faced with a luxurious mansion that was instantly engulfed in hellfire. Thousands of creepy dolls filled the mansion, and his task sounded impossible: find the one real doll among all of them. Gongja immediately understood why this stage was so difficult. The fire wasn't just a regular fire, but a deadly hellfire aura. Without the right defense, a hunter could only last a few minutes before being burned to ash. Gongja got it now: the Flame Emperor, Yusuha, had easily conquered this floor because his aura had the same type, making him immune to the scorching heat. Accompanied by the spirit of the Sword Emperor, Gongja began to strategize. The Sword Emperor mocked him, saying that Gongja, who only had 2 lives left, wouldn't succeed by just relying on luck. But Gongja snapped back, annoyed, denying that he was only relying on luck, because even now he was fighting tooth and nail to hold back his aura. With time running out, Gongja executed his brilliant and crazy plan: he would intentionally die once more to copy the monster boss's skill. He randomly approached a doll, which then melted horribly while screaming that it wasn't the real one. Not long after, Gongja's protective aura ran out, and his body was swallowed by the hellfire in immense pain until the system confirmed his death. After coming back to the netherworld, Gongja was faced with a choice of skill cards. The most obvious option was a gold rank S card, Hellfire Trap, which allowed the user to create a hellfire zone with a 2-kilometer radius. The Sword Emperor urged him to take that powerful skill. But Gongja felt something was off. He wondered, if the real doll was immune to fire because it had a fire aura, why weren't the thousands of fake dolls also immune? This is where he found his answer. Ignoring the Sword Emperor's frustrated shouts, Gongja chose a silver rank A card, Beware of Fire Day and Night. This skill gave him the ability to make his chosen target immune to fire. This was the key to conquering this stage slowly but surely. However, an unexpected penalty appeared when he returned. The system forced him to experience the trauma of the enemy who had killed him. Gongja was thrown into a dark memory from the past. He witnessed a wicked nobleman who gathered orphan children in the mansion, not to care for them, but to torture and starve them in the name of education. On that fateful night, a fallen candle sparked a massive fire. The trapped and helpless children could only surrender to being burned alive, their souls filled with hatred and regret. Gongja finally understood: the 10th floor monster boss wasn't a demon but a manifestation of the spirits of thousands of children who died tragically. The Sword Emperor, although horrified himself, told Gongja to forget the past and kill the boss to move on to the next floor. But Gongja refused. He didn't want to be like Yusuha, who would have killed the monster without a second thought for a victory. Gongja realized one more crucial detail from the Yi Hellfire Trap skill description: no one could leave the fire zone without the user's permission. The fact that the previous hunters were able to escape alive meant that the monster boss let them go. This monster didn't want to kill, it just wanted someone to play with it. With this new understanding, Gongja re-entered the burning mansion. He activated his fire immunity skill, which surprised the dolls. Calmly, he announced that he had come to play hide-and-seek. One by one, Gongja explored every corner of the mansion, touching each doll as if he were comforting their souls. With each touch, the dolls disappeared with laughter. This wasn't a hunt, it was a farewell ceremony. Finally, in the darkest basement, he found the last doll, the real one. Gently, Gongja touched its head and whispered, "Found you." The doll looked at him, and for the first time, said thank you before finally melting away and vanishing along with the last of its hatred. At that moment, the fire throughout the mansion went out, and the system announced that the 10th floor boss stage had been successfully conquered. After successfully clearing the 10th floor bonus stage all by himself, Kim Gongja didn't feel any overflowing euphoria. Instead, standing on top of a building covered in the ash of the battle, his heart was a mix of happiness and sadness. Sword Storm, floating beside him, was puzzled by Gongja's gloomy expression. He commented that Gongja should be happy because he had cleared a hidden stage that he himself rarely managed to clear, and the reward would surely be great. But Gongja replied with a cold stare, saying that a heartless psychopath like Sword Storm would never understand. Gongja explained that he was just reflecting on how messed up this world was. The tragic event they had just witnessed on the boss stage was proof that such suffering was real, both in this world and in others. Sword Storm was silent for a moment, then nodded in agreement that wherever humans lived, chaos would always exist. After a brief silence, Sword Storm suddenly changed his tone to a very cheerful one. He started praising Gongja nonstop, saying that the way Gongja cleared the stage with his own method was truly incredible. In his opinion, this success wasn't due to luck, but purely because of Gongja's own effort and skill. As his partner, he felt they should celebrate together. Gongja just frowned, finding the sudden and excessive praise very strange and suspicious. He knew very well that this wasn't the true nature of the arrogant Sword Emperor. Gongja's suspicion was interrupted when a majestic voice echoed throughout the tower's sky, heard by every hunter on all floors. The system announced to everyone that the 10th floor stage had been successfully conquered. The announcement was repeated, confirming that a new era had begun. Not long after, fireworks of various colors exploded in the sky, not disappearing but writhing and spinning to form a giant clock that began a 24-hour countdown, indicating the time until the 11th floor opened. Gongja and Sword Storm stared at the scene. Sword Storm muttered that this was the same sight he had seen when he was alive, while Gongja recalled that this was the second time he had seen it, but from a very different position. Before, he was just an extra in a bar on the first floor, now, he was the main character. Sword Storm laughed and asked what it felt like to be promoted from an extra to the main character. Gongja took out his phone and saw that the online community was exploding with confusion and speculation. Everyone was wondering who had managed to conquer the 10th floor. Big names like the Black Dragon Guild, Sword Saint, Crusader, and Viper were mentioned. However, one by one, those speculations were disproven after reports and photos showed that all the top-tier hunters were somewhere else. The mystery grew, and the entire tower was now gripped by one big question: who exactly was the nameless hero who had reached the 11th floor? Seeing the chaos he had created, Gongja finally smiled and answered his partner's question. He felt amazing, as if he were standing on top of the world. Sword Storm smirked, reminding him that it was just an illusion, but he admitted that of all the people in this world, Kim Gongja was the closest to the top of the tower. While they were talking, a 10th floor gate guard ran up the stairs, out of breath and drenched in sweat. He approached Gongja in a panic, asking if it was true that Gongja had cleared the stage. The guard explained that the entire Hunter Association was in an uproar and kept contacting him because Gongja was the only hunter registered as challenging the 10th floor that day. Calmly, Gongja asked in return what the guard would do if he had indeed done it. The guard was confused, then Gongja casually reminded him that he couldn't even check his identity because he had accepted 100 gold as a bribe. Hearing that, the guard could only stand there in silence. Gongja patted his shoulder and walked away, refusing to give his name or even a nickname, and told the guard to work hard. In front of the transmission stone, as Gongja was about to return to the first floor, he suddenly stopped. A realization dawned on him. He turned to Sword Storm and said that he now understood the reason behind all the exaggerated praise. Gongja reminded him of their bet. Sword Storm had promised to call him Gongjanim if he managed to clear the stage with only 2 coins. And he had indeed succeeded. Sword Storm's face instantly changed. He began to beg desperately, trying to get out of it by saying they were partners and friends with equal standing. But Gongja just smiled brightly, cutting off all his excuses. He gave an absolute command that from now on, Sword Storm had to call him Gongjanim every time they talked. Forever. In the face of that command, the legendary Sword Emperor's face was filled with despair. In a cafe called Starluck on the 1st floor, the atmosphere was buzzing with hunters discussing who the mysterious conqueror of the 10th floor was. They had no idea that the person they were talking about was sitting casually in a corner, sipping his caramel macchiato with satisfaction. Kim Gongja then spoke to his partner, pretending to tap his earphone to avoid looking crazy. He teased Sword Storm, asking if the taste of victory wasn't as sweet as his coffee. There was no answer. Gongja kept provoking him, pretending his earphone was broken until Sword Storm finally replied in a faint voice. Gongja, in a superior tone, then scolded him for making Gongjanim worry. Sword Storm, whose shoulders were trembling with suppressed anger and shame, finally exploded. He shouted for Gongja to just kill him, find a new skill, and erase his sword constellation so he could return to his master, Marcus. But Gongja cheerfully refused. He declared that they were true partners who would be together forever. While he smiled on the outside, in his head, he calculated that it had been about an hour and a half since the 10th floor was conquered, and he knew something big was coming. Right then, a clean brown cat with 2 gold coins hanging from its neck instead of a bell approached Gongja. In his mind, Gongja immediately recognized the cat. It was the 1 gold coin cat, a figure that would become the tower's famous mascot in the next 5 years. Aware that he was dealing with an important figure, Gongja decided to pretend he didn't know. He put on an innocent face and asked if the cat was lost, then gently lifted it onto his lap. As he stroked the cat, which was acting so naturally, Gongja thought his own acting was good enough to not look suspicious. While he was playing with the cat, a group of hunters with expensive gear approached his table. One of them carefully asked if he was Kim Gongja. Gongja calmly showed his ID card and said that he had been wondering how long it would take, and it was exactly 1.5 hours. The hunters' eyes widened, and they immediately contacted their respective superiors, confirming that the target had been found. Before the first guild representative could speak, Gongja raised his hand and took control. He set 2 conditions before the negotiation began. First, he strictly forbade anyone from leaking his identity to the media until the clock in the sky showed 0. He didn't want to be swarmed by reporters before entering the 11th floor. Second, he asked them to respect the other customers because this was a public place. Realizing the situation, the guild executives acted fast. In just 5 minutes, they managed to rent out the entire cafe, ensuring privacy for the negotiation. With the cafe empty, the bidding war began. The representative of the Civil Militia Guild opened with 10,000 gold. The offer was immediately mocked and raised to 20,000 gold by the Adventure League. The Chenmumun Guild countered with 25,000 gold and a trainer position. The 10,000 temples offered 30,000 gold and an honorary position. Gongja understood why they were so desperate. The existence of the Sword Saint, a rank 1 hunter who chose to go solo, had ruined the reputation and business model of the guilds. They needed a new hero tied to a guild to prove their existence was still relevant. In the middle of the bidding frenzy, a deep voice suddenly spoke. The voice came from the cat on Gongja's lap, which said the guild name Sangrian and the number 50,000 gold. The cat jumped from Gongja's lap. While its paws were still claws in the air, it landed on the floor lightly as a pair of women's shoes. The cat had transformed into an elegant woman who looked young even though she was over 40 years old. With 2 gold coins clinking on her neck, she introduced herself as the Count, a rank 3 hunter and guild master of the Merchant Association, Sangrian. She looked at Gongja and repeated her offer, 50,000 gold as an advance payment, and the position as the guild's vice master. Gongja smiled faintly, quite intrigued. For him, the real negotiation had just begun. The Count, leader of the Sangrian Guild, smiled while fanning herself. She praised Kim Gongja for his bravery and for not looking surprised at all when he saw a cat turn into a human. Gongja responded casually, joking that he was used to seeing strange things, even ghosts. The Count laughed, impressed with Gongja's composure. However, the other guild representatives who were still there turned pale. One of them tried to protest the 50,000 gold offer and the vice master position, calling it excessive for a hunter whose abilities were unproven. With a cold smile, the Count cut him off and politely told them all to leave and call their superiors if they wanted to make a higher offer. 10 minutes later, the true leaders of the tower's strongest guild started arriving. The first to enter was Viper, rank 5 and leader of the Chinmumun Guild, who immediately cursed. He was followed by the Heretic Inquisitor, rank 4 and leader of the 10,000 Temples, Crusader, rank 8 and vice leader of the Civil Militia, and finally, the Black Witch, rank 2 and leader of the Black Dragon Guild. Gongja recognized all of them, the top-tier hunters he usually only saw in the media. They were all now sitting in front of him, creating an incredible aura of pressure. The atmosphere grew tense, but the Count greeted them as if it were a normal reunion. The angry Viper immediately snapped, not accepting the Count's offer, which he considered insane. But the Heretic Inquisitor cheerfully cut off the commotion and invited everyone to order coffee, as if nothing important was happening. One by one, the top brass ordered their drinks, creating a strange and high-pressure charade. This was a coordinated strategy to mentally shake Gongja. Swordstorm whispered to Gongja not to be afraid, reminding him that they were nothing compared to being burned alive. Gongja agreed inwardly. With perfect calm, he simply called a waiter and ordered a hot chocolate. Seeing that Gongja was not intimidated at all, the Black Witch went straight to the point. She asked what Gongja's plan was, whether he would join a guild or go solo like the Sword Saint. She explained that conquering the 10th floor was a golden opportunity. The tower, which had been stagnant on 9 floors, could finally advertise to the outside world, attracting new adventurers, and most importantly, solving the food supply problem. For all that, they needed a new icon, a symbol of this new era. Gongja immediately understood that the icon they meant was him. In his mind, Gongja remembered that the Black Witch was an enemy of the Flame Emperor, so the enemy of his enemy was his friend. Gongja then proposed something surprising. He suggested a game of poker. If one of the guild leaders won, he would join that guild without asking for any money or a position. But if Gongja won, he would register with all of their guilds simultaneously as an external member, and they would have to treat him as their equal. Fascinated by his audacity, the guild leaders agreed, on the condition that no one could use skills. As the cards were dealt, Gongja whispered to Swordstorm. He offered a deal. Swordstorm didn't have to call him Gongjanim until the game was over. In return, Swordstorm had to tell him what cards each player was holding. Swordstorm, who was thrilled with the offer, eagerly agreed. With the help of his ghostly spy, Gongja played flawlessly. He knew when to bluff, when to call, and when to raise the bet. Over 30 rounds, he never lost once. Finally, Viper couldn't take it anymore. He slammed the table and yelled, accusing Gongja of cheating with a skill. He couldn't believe a rank F hunter could play so perfectly. Gongja, calmly sipping his hot chocolate, just asked if Viper had any proof. He then casually added that he had just been promoted to rank E yesterday but hadn't had time to report it to the association yet. Viper, having run out of chips and arguments, could only fall silent in defeat. The Heretic Inquisitor, who had already lost, cheerfully welcomed Viper to the loser's zone, offering him an espresso that Viper had previously rejected outright. The atmosphere at the poker table grew even more tense. Crusader, the vice leader of the Civil Militia, stared at his cards for a moment, then sighed and conceded defeat. He looked at Kim Gongja, wondering if the young man had a mind-reading skill. Gongja just replied calmly for him to guess. Seeing Crusader give up so easily, Viper exploded in anger, yelling at him for not fighting to the end and letting a swindler win. With contrasting composure, Crusader responded to Viper. He said that swindler was too harsh a word for the tower's new hero. He then explained that from the beginning, he knew Gongja must have used a trick. The fact that a newcomer dared to challenge the top brass in a game of luck was a statement. Gongja was saying that he could beat them all without being detected. By accepting the challenge, they all accepted the risk. Crusader emphasized that they had nothing to lose from the start. If they won, great. If they lost, they still got Gongja's affiliation with all the guilds, which was also a strategic victory. He ended his explanation by looking at Viper and asking, "Does pride feed you?" Now, the final battle was down to just 2 people, Kim Gongja and the rank 2 hunter, the Black Witch. While raising the stakes, the Black Witch began to tell her story. She was from Ukraine, lost her family in the war, and found this tower to be her home. Inside the tower, a person's origin didn't matter, everyone was an equal challenger. Gongja responded by raising the bet again, saying that everyone in the tower had a sad story, and he himself was just a regular orphan. The Black Witch warned Gongja that his life would change completely when the news of his conquest spread. Gongja responded honestly, saying that he liked the attention and wanted to be a figure who was praised and made others envious. The Black Witch called him the opposite of the Sword Saint. She then went all in this final game. With a sharp gaze, Gongja made his declaration. He stated that conquering the 10th floor wasn't his only achievement. He would conquer the 20th, 30th, 50th, and even the 100th floor. He respected the guild leaders, but he considered them all rivals in a race to the top. His ambition wasn't to solve the problems of hunger or poverty in the tower, but to feel the sensation of being at the highest peak. He allowed them to use his name to solve those problems, as long as they supported his ascent. Hearing that overflowing ambition, the Black Witch sighed and said that she was wrong. Gongja wasn't the opposite of the Sword Saint but exactly the same, a greedy person. The Black Witch also went all in. The last card on the table was revealed. The Count, who was the dealer, announced the result. Gongja's two-pair hand was a full house, beating the Black Witch's flush. Kim Gongja was the absolute winner. Gongja smiled and said that he considered the term greedy to be a compliment. As per the game's agreement, he hoped to be treated as their equal from now on. Sword Storm, who had been silent, immediately cheered happily. His secret mission was complete, and he joyfully returned to calling Gongja the zombie, relieved that he no longer had to call him Lord Gongja. Gongja immediately left to prepare because the 11th floor was about to open. The Black Witch asked how Gongja would prepare without knowing what was inside. As a sign of goodwill and to make the top brass indebted to him, Gongja gave them a hint. Gongja told them that the theme for floors 11 through 20 was role-playing or play. Gongja, who knew this from Sword Storm, lied by saying that the hint was a reward for clearing the 10th floor. The Black Witch nodded, understanding the value of the information, and promised to repay the favor someday. The atmosphere in the city plaza was filled with overwhelming euphoria. Hunters, from veterans to those who had already given up on the 2nd floor, screamed with joy. Thousands of hats were thrown into the air, creating a scene that resembled flowers blooming in the spring. They were all waiting for the announcement after the 10th floor was conquered. Just as the giant clock in the sky finished its countdown to 0, a majestic voice echoed in everyone's ears. The system firmly announced that from that day on, the prologue had ended, the tutorial was over. This was the beginning of the real fight. In response to their enthusiasm, the clock in the sky exploded in a burst of light as strong as the sun, forming the figure of a majestic, giant woman in a white robe. The figure, who was considered an angel or a goddess, congratulated the warrior tower climbers for successfully crossing the regrets in the Helvetia residence. But beside him, Sword Storm clicked his tongue. He coldly told him to get a grip, explaining that the figure in the sky wasn't a real goddess. It was just a pathetic NPC recording whose job was to explain the next mission. The goddess hologram continued her message, explaining that there was a world that needed heroes to protect it from the demon lord. To accept this call, they only needed to say the word, transmit. Before the goddess finished speaking, Marcus Sellenbury shot into the air. With agility, the Sword Saint stepped on a building's roof, jumping from the 3rd floor to the 5th, then to the 7th. From there, he launched into the air and swung his sword. A beautiful and swift slash split the sky, cutting the goddess's figure in two. But, like cutting water, the hologram merged back together without a single flaw. Marcus landed, muttered, transmit, and vanished. The action triggered a chain reaction. Thousands of hunters simultaneously shouted, transmit, in a panic, not wanting to be left behind. The plaza was filled with thousands of pillars of light. In the middle of the chaos, the goddess's voice kept echoing, explaining that floors 11 through 20 would be a test of faith, a journey to know oneself. But her deep message was drowned out by the noise. Crusader approached him with a sad expression, feeling embarrassed that no one cared about the message painstakingly created by the tower's builder. He responded calmly, calling Crusader sensitive. She smiled, revealing that in her home world, she was a music major. Hearing that, he honestly commented that that profession would probably be difficult to make money from, a painful fact that made Crusader laugh. While they were talking, Sword Storm warned him to be careful, suspecting Crusader was a fraud because it was impossible for someone to approach him with his face and personality without a hidden motive. Suddenly, a mob of reporters rushed toward them. Crusader cleverly took advantage of the situation. Wincing with annoyance, she pretended the attention was on her and apologized. She confessed that she had approached him because she had the ability to read people and was very interested in knowing what kind of person he truly was. With a mischievous smile, she said the answer to that question was in his heart, then said, transmit, and disappeared, intentionally leaving him to face the reporters alone. Bombarded with questions, he knew he had to leave quickly. To make a mysterious and unforgettable impression, he shouted one sentence loudly, I will conquer the 20th floor too. After that, he yelled, "Transmit," and vanished. The light faded, and the scene in front of him changed drastically. He was now standing on a vast and brutal battlefield. A terrifying horde of monsters, goblins, orcs, and ogres, was running in unison toward a port city. The hunters who had arrived earlier, including Marcus Ellenbury, were already fighting to the death. They were the only line of defense for the medieval-style soldiers who were desperately trying to defend the port city. He sighed inwardly. This was the real battlefield. The tutorial had truly ended. A general approached the newly arrived and still confused hunters, yelling his thanks for coming to help their empire. While the other hunters were still in shock from the sudden transition, he remained calm, analyzing the battlefield with a cold stare, ready to fight. The battlefield at the port was a chaotic hell. The clash of swords on shields, human screams, and monster growls became a single, terrible symphony. Blood soaked the muddy ground as the soldiers of the Aegim Empire fought desperately to hold back the endless waves of goblins and orcs. At the front line, Marcus Ellenbury moved like a storm, his blue aura flashing every time he slashed and beheaded a monster, leaving a trail of bodies behind him. But, far behind the chaos, he stood calmly. While other hunters plunged into the battle, he was receiving his reward for clearing the 10th floor. A transparent minimap appeared, showing every troop movement on the battlefield and a complete directory of all the NPCs' names and skill ranks. Swordstorm complained, calling this cheap luck. He just smiled inwardly. He understood this floor's theme, conquering the Demon Lord. He had two choices: be a solo fighter as strong as an army, or lead an army himself. Without leadership talent, he chose the second and declared to Swordstorm that he would prove this was a game based on skill. With a series of quick mental commands, he filtered the list of thousands of NPCs, isolating it to 3 names with the highest leadership skills, then marked their locations on the map. Swordstorm could only scream in a panic at this god-level cheating. His closest target was General Sarbast Aegim. He went directly to him in the middle of the battle. With a fabricated serious expression, he made an insane request. He asked the general to kill him. He made up a story that his death would trigger a divine blessing that would win the war. General Sarbast, a true patriot, strongly refused. But he kept pushing, convincing the general that dying at the hands of an empire's hero was an honor. Finally, with a broken heart, the general agreed. While cursing his world's fate, he asked for his name. After hearing it, General Sarbast thanked him for his sacrifice and swung his sword. With one clean and swift movement, the ore-infused blade separated his head from his body. In his final moments, he remembered a new saying: above every hunter who uses a sword, there is a hunter who uses an army. Death was a new beginning. When his life returned to the starting point, he had successfully copied the general's skill, battlefield comprehension. Now, he had the intuition of a military expert, along with a legendary item he chose as a reward, the Holy Sword of Protection, Lafanta Aegim. He was back on a horse with General Sarbast, but this time as the strategist. With his accurate guidance, the 1,000 remaining cavalry soldiers behind them started to move. The charge began. Under the general's command, which was directed by him, the cavalry charged forward like a steel storm. The soldiers, who had been desperate, now saw him riding on horseback beside their general. His holy sword shone brightly, becoming a beacon of hope in the dark battlefield. Their morale was set ablaze. The other hunters could only stare enviously, not understanding how a novice could lead such an effective counterattack. With the guidance of the minimap and the battlefield comprehension skill, he directed the troops through the safest path, straight to the heart of the enemy command, a high goblin king. The final battle was unavoidable. As they approached, the goblin king yelled, ordering his personal guards to move forward. However, he countered with a fluent yell in the goblin language, using his High Goblin Society a skill. The unexpected countercommand froze the goblin king and his guards in confusion for a split second. That moment was more than enough. He channeled all of his aura into the holy sword, making it shine blindingly. As his horse dashed past the monster king, he delivered a single, swift, and merciless horizontal slash. The High Goblin King's head flew from his neck, his eyes still showing a bewildered expression. Seeing their leader dead, the monster army instantly broke. Their morale was shattered, and they began to flee in a panic. For the hunters, this was the signal for the hunt to begin. Those who had been fighting in formation now scattered and cruelly hunted down the remaining scattered demon forces. The slaughter was quick. Not long after, the system announced that the 11th floor had been cleared. The contribution ranking appeared in the sky, with his name in first place, surpassing the Sword Saint. A total victory had been achieved thanks to his strategy. The contribution rankings appeared in the sky. The hunters were shocked to see Kim Gongja's name in first place, surpassing Sword Saint Marcus Sellenbury. Sword Storm grumbled again, calling our MC just a clever coward. However, Kim Gongja cleverly retorted that he promised to practice his swordsmanship and beg for guidance from the Sword Emperor. Hearing the veiled compliment, Sword Storm's anger immediately subsided, replaced by a sense of pride. General Sarbast approached Kim Gongja and offered his sincere thanks for the victory. He confessed that he had been skeptical about the prophecy of a hero from another world, but now his doubts were gone. Right after that, the system announced the summoning of the top 10 contributors to the next floor. Before teleportation, Sword Storm warned our MC that he would meet Marcus Sellenbury, who would likely attack him outright. However, Kim Gongja remained calm. He already had a plan to face the Sword Saint. Seeing the clear murderous intent from Marcus Sellenbury, Heretic Inquisitor immediately positioned himself in front of Kim Gongja. He politely but firmly refused to move, explaining that our MC was now under the protection of the 5 major guilds, and killing him would damage all their reputations. However, Marcus didn't care. His intention was firm. Realizing that negotiations had failed, Heretic Inquisitor acted quickly. He muttered a sacred technique, and a pillar of light instantly exploded behind Marcus. From within, Viper and Crusader emerged in a coordinated ambush. Viper darted from above, his dagger infused with poisonous green aura aimed directly at Marcus's neck. At the same time, Crusader charged from the side, slamming his brightly shining holy shield to break the Sword Saint's defense. However, the attack met a wall of steel. Marcus Sellenbury, without even turning his head, moved with unbelievable speed. In a blurry, spinning motion, his sword, sheathed in a calm blue aura, slashed the air twice. Clang! The first slash easily parried Viper's dagger, the force of the collision not only deflecting the attack but also leaving a deep gash on Viper's arm. Clang! The second slash hit Crusader's shield, creating sparks and a shockwave that pushed the paladin back several steps, a thin red line now adorning his cheek. The entire counterattack happened in the blink of an eye, a terrifying demonstration of power. After exchanging insults, Heretic Inquisitor realized they were completely outmatched. He then requested financial assistance from the Count, who reluctantly handed over 10,000 gold coins. The pile of gold instantly dissolved into pure golden light as Heretic Inquisitor chanted his spell. The light then flowed into Viper and Crusader's bodies, making their aura burn brighter. In the middle of the tension, Black Witch spoke up. She clarified the situation, stating that it was not just 4 people who would fight Marcus, but all 5 major guilds. Black Witch explained the agreement they had made. Our protagonist had a status equal to a guild master in all 5 guilds. Therefore, attacking him was the same as declaring war on all of them. Instantly, the other guild leaders prepared to fight. The air in the room became heavy, filled with the combined pressure of 5 of the strongest hunters, all focused on one person. This was the backup plan that our MC had prepared. In his mind, he explained to Sword Storm that the best way to fight a strong solo player was with a strong alliance. Kim Gongja then tried to de-escalate the situation, but that only caused Marcus to voice his disappointment. Marcus cursed the guild system, stating that he wanted to prove that a hunter could reach the top only with talent and hard work. The guild masters were furious to hear that. One by one they accused Marcus of being selfish and irresponsible, reminding him of his conquest of floors 5, 7, and 9, where his refusal to help had caused many senseless deaths. The verbal battle once again heated the atmosphere to the brink of combat. Seeing his alliance nearly crumble, our protagonist stepped in again. He blamed them all for acting worse than the NPCs, fighting when they should be uniting to conquer the 12th floor. Crusader, who agreed with our MC, finally took a drastic step to break the stalemate. She sacrificed her secrecy and showed her skill card to everyone, lie detection. In the midst of the hostile stalemate, Crusader took a drastic step. She showed her skill card to everyone, lie detection. She offered to be a mediator, stating that doubt is poison and the truth is the cure. She asked Marcus Sellenbury and Kim Gongja to trust her to clear up the misunderstanding between them. In his mind, our MC immediately realized this was a golden opportunity. A suspicion born from one skill could now be broken by another. He immediately stated his agreement. Marcus Sellenbury, after thinking for a moment, also agreed. He stated that Crusader was the only person in the room he trusted, and he would accept her mediation. With both parties' consent, the interrogation began. Crusader promised to stake her honor on judging every answer fairly. Marcus, with a look of absolute confidence as if about to expose a major crime, asked his first question. He asked our protagonist directly if it was true that he had killed more than 4,000 people. Without hesitation, Kim Gongja answered with one word, yes. Marcus immediately cheered, feeling that victory was within his grasp. He pointed at Kim Gongja and yelled to the others that they had seen for themselves how the guilds were using this low-level killer. However, in the middle of his euphoria, Crusader calmly cut in. She stated that Kim Gongja's answer was a lie. Marcus fell silent, confused. Crusader explained patiently, because our MC's yes was a lie, the conclusion was that our protagonist had not killed more than 4,000 people. Failing with his first accusation, Marcus tried to find another reason. He accused that it must be because the 5 major guilds had raised Kim Gongja as an elite assassin. With great enthusiasm, our MC agreed again and confessed that he was indeed an elite assassin. Once again, Crusader calmly stated that that was also a lie. Now Marcus was truly confused and started accusing Crusader of lying. Before the situation could get heated, Kim Gongja spoke up to clarify. He admitted that he had indeed killed, but only one person. He continued with great emotion, explaining that the person he killed was a heinous mass murderer who truly deserved to die, who had tried to kill him first and slaughtered others without blinking. Crusader looked at our protagonist, then nodded to everyone in the room. Every word Kim Gongja had just spoken was the absolute truth. The situation in the room turned 180 degrees. The other guild leaders looked at Marcus with expressions of pity, while the heretic inquisitor couldn't hold back his laughter. Swordstorm also commented in our MC's mind that this was the result of someone relying too much on their skill. Now it was Kim Gongja's turn to take control. He calmly stated that all misunderstandings were now resolved. However, he reminded everyone that if it weren't for the protection of the guild leaders, he would most likely have died from this baseless accusation. Therefore, in his opinion, it was the right time for the Sword Saint to apologize. Crusader chimed in one last time, stating that the apology was indeed deserved, and Kim Gongja's words were the truth. With the truth revealed, Marcus Sellenbury was now cornered. In our MC's mind, this was the moment that defined a man's true character. Would he make excuses like the Flame Emperor, or face his mistakes? Marcus made his decision. Instead of arguing, he sheathed his sword and bowed his head deeply. In a low voice, he delivered a sincere apology. He admitted his mistake, confessed that his blind faith in his skill had almost caused him to kill an innocent person, and swore that he would no longer judge a person's life based on his own evaluation. He offered any compensation, but pleaded that his life be spared so he could continue climbing the tower. Crusader silently confirmed that the entire confession was the truth. Kim Gongja, who was impressed by the sincerity, then made his request. He didn't ask for money or items, but instead asked that the Sword Saint be willing to be his duel partner whenever he asked. With clear embarrassment, our protagonist explained his reason. He would feel awkward just for giving and acting as if he were the greater person. By asking for something in return, a lesson in swordsmanship, he felt their relationship would become more equal. Strangely, Crusader confirmed that his entire embarrassing explanation was also the truth. The reaction in the room was truly unexpected. The other guild leaders were both shocked and impressed. The heretic inquisitor shed tears, calling the scene a sacred miracle. The Black Witch admitted she hadn't seen such a sincere hunter in a long time. Marcus Sellenbury, deeply moved, immediately transformed into an enthusiastic grandpa. He tightly held Kim Gongja's hand, insisting on being called Grandpa Marcus, and started lecturing about the importance of young love while trying to set him up with his granddaughter. Our MC could only panic inwardly, feeling very awkward about the situation. Right at the peak of that awkwardness, a system voice was heard in Kim Gongja's head. As the first-place ranker, he was given the right to choose the 11th floor completion prize first. 2 options appeared before him. The first was a prize from the Guardian Goddess, a chance to choose a high position in the Aegim Empire. The second was a secret offer from the Demon Lord: kill the other 9 rankers in the room to jump directly to the 99th floor. Swordstorm immediately warned that it was a trap. Kim Gongja agreed in his heart. He knew it had to be a trap because if there was a shortcut that easy, a psychopath like the Flame Emperor would have already taken it in his previous life. Our MC contemplated the Demon Lord's offer. Logically, he knew it was a trap. If an easy shortcut to the 99th floor were real, a psychopath like the Flame Emperor would have already taken it, but in reality, he only made it to the 40th floor. Still, the temptation to instantly get a 99th floor boss skill was incredibly strong. Seeing the doubt on his face, Sword Storm gave the most serious warning he had ever given. He spoke not as a teacher, but as the only person who had ever reached the 99th floor and failed. He swore it was a terrible trap. The 99th floor didn't have monsters, but something far more vicious. With his current skills, it would be impossible to get through it. Sword Storm urged our protagonist to trust him and continue on the path that had already proven to be successful. The genuine fear in his master's voice was enough to convince him. He decided to take the safest route, considering this regression as a chance to gather information. He would sacrifice the prize to win the war in the future. In front of the shocked rankers, he announced that he would not choose any prize. The turn then fell to Marcus Sellenbury. Although he thought our protagonist's action was excessive, he chose the prize from the goddess's side and took the position of chief knight. Instantly, a group of knights appeared and swore their loyalty to him. Next, the heretic inquisitor took his turn and immediately understood the situation. He explained to the others that this was like a game of mafia. There were 9 heroes, those who chose the goddess's prize, and 1 traitor, the one who chose the demon lord's prize. He confidently stated that the heroes had an absolute advantage thanks to Crusaders' lie detection skill. Feeling secure with that guarantee, the other rankers quickly chose their respective positions, from Grand General to Minister of Finance, all siding with the goddess. But, when everyone had chosen, the system voice announced a shocking final result: 8 people received the goddess's prize, 1 person abstained, and 1 person received the demon lord's prize. The atmosphere immediately grew tense. The Black Witch was furious, yelling that some fool dared to become a traitor. Her murderous aura enveloped the room. Veteran rankers like Viper and the Count felt a bad premonition, reminding them of the dark times at the beginning of the tower when bloodshed between guilds was commonplace. Without wasting time, the Black Witch ordered Crusader to start the interrogation immediately. She swore she would give the most painful death to the traitor. Crusader began her task. First, she stated that she was not the traitor. Then, she asked Kim Gongja, whose answer was no, and was confirmed as the truth. One by one, Crusader interrogated everyone in the room. Marcus, the heretic inquisitor, Viper, the Count, and even the Black Witch herself. Everyone firmly denied choosing the Demon Lord's prize, and each time, Crusaders' lie detection skill confirmed that they were all telling the truth. The room fell into a chilling silence. Everyone had been interrogated and declared innocent. But, the system had confirmed that a traitor was among them. A terrifying question hung in the air: if it wasn't one of them, then who was the traitor? The chilling silence after the interrogation was broken by the system's voice. The guardian goddess sighed at the warrior's stupidity, while the demon lord laughed with amusement. Crusader frantically tried to calm the atmosphere, theorizing that the traitor might have a skill to fool lie detection or even have a split personality. But Marcus Sellenbury coldly accused that Crusader herself could be the traitor. The accusation cracked the alliance of the guild leaders. The Black Witch defended Crusader, but Marcus insisted they all could be in cahoots. In the middle of the tension, the heretic inquisitor laughed. He stated that building trust takes 10 years, a luxury they didn't have. In the name of efficiency, he decided to act. Before Crusader could stop him, the heretic inquisitor gave an order to Viper. In a flash, the 2 hunters moved with brutal speed. They didn't attack the guild leaders, but instead targeted the 3 lowest-ranked unaffiliated hunters, the easiest targets to eliminate. The unfortunate hunters had no chance to react. Viper shot like a shadow, his dagger slicing throats, while the heretic inquisitor unleashed a devastating holy attack. The slaughter was quick and cruel. Every time a hunter died, the system announced that they were not the traitor, accompanied by the demon lord's increasingly loud laughter. Marcus Sellenbury was furious at the needless bloodshed. He roared, calling the heretic inquisitor a disgusting monster who never changed, and immediately drew his sword. A dense blue aura exploded from his body as he charged forward, intending to punish the perpetrator of the massacre. Viper and several other guild masters were forced to hold off Marcus's attack, creating a massive chaos inside the palace. In the middle of the desperation, Crusader yelled to Kim Gongja. She handed over all her authority, pleading for our MC to take control of the situation. Because our protagonist was the only one who hadn't chosen a prize, he was the only one guaranteed to be innocent. The heretic inquisitor, now wounded from Marcus's counterattack, surprisingly agreed and also gave him his authority. Kim Gongja was shocked. He had expected there to be a conflict, but he never imagined there would be a massacre this fast. To stop an even bigger fight, he used his magic words. He yelled to Marcus, promising to consider dating his granddaughter if she came to the tower. The absurd offer managed to make the sword saint stop for a moment, frozen in the middle of his sword swing. Taking that opportunity, our MC took command. He explained that this traitor hunt was a trap designed to make them kill each other. The real solution, he said, was to ignore the trap, unite, and focus on the main goal, killing the Demon Lord on the 20th floor. If the Demon Lord died, the prize promised to the traitor would become meaningless. As if responding to his speech, the sky outside the palace turned dark. A blood-red rain began to fall. The NPCs inside the room screamed in terror, calling it nightmare rain. A majestic and terrifying voice, the Demon Lord's voice, echoed everywhere, mocking their stupidity for relying on heroes from another world. Outside the city walls, under the downpour of blood-red rain, a countless monster army appeared, covering the entire horizon. The 12th floor mission had begun. The sight of the countless demon army and the terrifying blood rain silenced the rankers. Viper was the first to react, complaining in a panic that this level of difficulty was insane. He yelled that the jump from the tutorial to this full-scale battlefield was impossible to clear. But Kim Gongja quickly cut off the panic. With his new authority, he reminded them that the tower never gave them an obstacle that couldn't be overcome. He emphasized that they were no longer just individual hunters, they had accepted roles and responsibilities within this kingdom. The internal fighting had to stop. Our MC then began to delegate tasks quickly and precisely, utilizing their new positions. He ordered Viper, Chief of the Guards, and Marcus Sellenbury, Chief Knight, to stop bickering and immediately lead their respective NPC armies. To Crusader, he gave the crucial task of Minister of Foreign Affairs, find the missing emperor, because without the supreme leader, the morale of the NPC soldiers wouldn't last long. Next, our protagonist looked at the heretic Inquisitor. Although Kim Gongja openly admitted his hatred for the Inquisitor's cruel actions, he assigned him the role of Grand General to defend the castle walls with his life. The heretic Inquisitor, surprisingly, accepted the order with enthusiasm. As Kim Gongja was getting ready to run to the front lines, the Black Witch suddenly appeared at his side. She revealed that she had a teleportation skill and had intentionally come to pick up our MC. The Black Witch explained that what the soldiers needed most right now wasn't him, but the symbol of hope brought by Kim Gongja's holy sword. To prove her trust and fulfill the skill's requirements, she even revealed her teleportation limitations to our protagonist. In an instant, the two of them arrived on top of the city wall. The sight there was truly pitiful. The soldiers were paralyzed with fear from the nightmare rain, which was a historical trauma for them. They could only hide and pray and surrender. Seeing this, the Black Witch showed her quality as a leader. She unleashed her aura and yelled loudly, reigniting the soldiers' spirits. She reminded them that it wasn't the stones that protected the empire, but they themselves. To perfect the moment, the Black Witch lifted Kim Gongja's hand high. Understanding the signal, our MC drew his holy sword. A pure, holy light exploded from the blade, cutting through the darkness of the blood rain. The soldiers below stared at the light, recognizing the legendary sword from their prophecy. The hope that had been extinguished was instantly reignited in their eyes. The system also responded to their heroic action. The guardian goddess, touched by their choice, exerted her remaining power, enveloping the fighters with a divine light of protection. The divine light that emanated from Kim Gongja's holy sword created a small miracle. In the area of the wall where the light shone, the terrifying blood rain stopped falling. For the desperate soldiers, that brief moment was more than enough to restore their sanity. Led by the Black Witch's speech, the morale of the NPC soldiers flared up again, and they rose in unison to defend their positions. After the situation at the wall was stable, the Black Witch and the protagonist quickly devised a strategy. The plan was to use the NPC army to hold back the main wave of the demon forces, while an elite hunter team would sneak in to kill the Demon Lord. The protagonist volunteered for the most dangerous mission. He would be the spearhead, teleporting directly into the enemy's presence. The Black Witch was hesitant, seeing the plan as a suicide mission. But Kim Gongja convinced her that he had a secret ace up his sleeve. For him, death was not the end but a strategic step to achieve victory. Suddenly, a new crisis emerged. A report indicated that the defense at the main gate was starting to collapse. The Black Witch agreed to move Kim Gongja to that critical point. As the Black Witch prepared the teleportation, Sword Storm began an emergency combat training session in Kim Gongja's mind. The goal: survive alone for 30 seconds against an infinite wave of enemies. Sword Storm explained that a true hero wasn't someone who fought for years, but someone who could buy a crucial 30 seconds when everyone else had given up. The intensive training began. Sword Storm instructed the protagonist on basic footwork, how to use the holy sword's light to blind enemies, and the fundamental concept of relative time. A novice spends a full second on a single move, but a master steals moments within that second. He ordered Kim Gongja not to stop his movements. Every swing had to be connected to the next like a musical rhythm. Kim Gongja landed in the middle of a horde of goblins that had broken through the gate. He immediately applied Sword Storm's teachings. With precise footwork, he dodged the first slash, then used the flash of his sword to blind the goblin in front of him. His sword moved in a constant flow. Every time one goblin fell, he had already pivoted to face the next, not wasting a single millisecond. While fighting, his resolve hardened, swearing to surpass the Flame Emperor and conquer this tower his own way. 10 seconds felt like forever. 20 seconds, his arms started to feel heavy. Just as the count reached 30 seconds, and the protagonist was nearly cornered, a massive wave of blue aura exploded behind him. Marcus Sellenbury and his knight army arrived as reinforcements, cutting down the monsters that surrounded the protagonist. Marcus looked at Kim Gongja with a look of genuine admiration. He praised the protagonist's fight as something amazing and formally introduced himself as Marcus Sellenbury. That moment made Kim Gongja realize something. This was the second time a top ranker had introduced themselves to him. But unlike the Flame Emperor who wanted to kill him, Marcus now looked at him with respect. As he sheathed his sword, Kim Gongja returned the introduction with confidence. The arrival of reinforcements turned the tide of the battle. Marcus Sellenbury, now fighting alongside Kim Gongja, praised the rookie's tenacity. Soon after, the heretic inquisitor arrived with his legion, thanking the protagonist for buying them valuable time before leading his army forward. Viper and the members of the Chenmuman Guild also joined the fight, with Viper personally vowing to protect the protagonist's right flank as repayment for being saved in the palace. Crusader arrived last with bad news: the Emperor had killed himself before she could find him. The plan to use the Emperor's authority to fully mobilize the NPC army had failed. In the midst of the chaos, Crusader observed Kim Gongja fighting with incredible intensity, as if he were enjoying every second of it. Suddenly, the Demon Lord's voice echoed again, mocking their efforts. He declared that the power of the Guardian Goddess had vanished, and as proof, he released a wave of dark energy that dimmed the protective aura across the entire battlefield. Seeing this, the Black Witch decided to execute an emergency plan immediately. She gathered the strongest fighters, Marcus Sellenbury and Viper, to launch a coordinated suicide attack. The Black Witch ordered Kim Gongja to take her hand, preparing to teleport the assault team directly to the heart of the enemy. As the world around him faded into the light of teleportation, the protagonist contemplated his cycle. Even though the other hunters would not remember the sacrifices in this timeline, for Kim Gongja, the experience and growth were real. He had become a little bit stronger, and he would do even better the next time. They appeared right in front of the Demon Lord. The Demon Lord sneered, mocking the fact that they were still trying to fight even though there was a traitor among them. But Kim Gongja stared straight at the cosmic entity without fear. He declared that his goal this time was not to win, but to die. The system announced his death. The protagonist woke up again in the familiar empty space. Sword Storm immediately confirmed that the copy skill was successful. A system window displayed a list of skills successfully copied from the Demon Lord. After analyzing his options, Kim Gongja chose one specific skill that would be the key to his next strategy. Although he had to endure the mental trauma of the Demon Lord's memories as a penalty, the protagonist immediately focused on planning. He asked Sword Storm for the details of Marcus Sellenbury's daily schedule. A new, more precise plan began to take shape. Kim Gongja woke up, back to 24 hours before the 11th floor opened. With knowledge from his failed future, he wasted no time. He immediately went to see the guild leaders. Our MC offered a deal: he would share crucial information about the 11th floor challenge, and in return, he asked for their help with a single request in the future. He cleverly set the conditions that his request would not endanger their lives or involve money, and they had the right to refuse. The Heretic Inquisitor and the Count, seeing no downside, immediately agreed to the offer, securing an initial alliance for our protagonist. The next step was to neutralize the biggest upcoming conflict. Kim Gongja approached Crusader and invited her for a walk. Just as he had planned based on Marcus's schedule that he got from Sword Storm confirmed that Marcus Sellenbury was indeed tailing them. Our MC's plan was to resolve the misunderstanding with the Sword Saint before they reached the 12th floor, to avoid the bloodshed that happened in the previous timeline. Kim Gongja intentionally led Crusader to a small, hidden apothecary shop. He started praising the quality of the potions there. Crusader, who was naturally suspicious, activated her lie detection skill. When the skill confirmed that our MC's praise was sincere, her guard lowered slightly. As they went inside, the alchemist owner of the shop recognized Crusader, the leader of the civil militia, and immediately panicked. He thought he was about to be arrested for making illegal potions and frantically denied all accusations. Crusader's skill once again confirmed that the alchemist's fear and innocence were the absolute truth. Our protagonist then explained that he was just helping the shop that was on the verge of bankruptcy, further solidifying his image as a good person in Crusader's eyes. Right at that moment, Marcus Sellenbury appeared. He ordered Crusader to step aside, stating his business was only with Kim Gongja. But Crusader, now convinced that our MC was not a bad person, flatly refused. She stood between Marcus and Kim Gongja, swearing to protect him with her life if necessary. This was a moral checkmate. Kim Gongja knew Marcus's biggest weakness: he couldn't harm a truly innocent person. When the alchemist also stood up for Kim Gongja as his savior, Marcus was completely cornered. Faced with two innocent individuals defending him, Marcus was forced to hold back his murderous intent. Before he left, Kim Gongja shouted an invitation, asking him to meet the next day at the northern field to resolve the misunderstanding. After Marcus left, Crusader revealed a dark secret. The reason Marcus was so ruthless towards killers was that his daughter and son-in-law had been brutally murdered, and only his granddaughter survived. This information gave our MC a deep understanding of the Sword Saint's tragic motivation. The next day, our protagonist once again came face to face with Marcus. In his mind, our MC felt that something was strange. The atmosphere around him felt familiar, yet somehow, this world seemed a little different. Gongja was sure this subtle change was the effect of him rewinding time so many times. And not long after, the figure he had been waiting for appeared, the legendary sword master, Marcus Sellenbury. Marcus looked at our MC with a skeptical gaze. He commented on why our protagonist came alone, as if that showed an overly high level of confidence. Thanks to his detective skill, Marcus could sense an unusual aura from our MC. He described Gongja as a professional killer who had spilled a lot of blood, a character reading that made our MC freeze stiff on the spot. Even Sword Storm, who was following him, was worried and asked about his condition. In his heart, Gongja just muttered that his heart felt a little sore, maybe from being read so nakedly. Feeling cornered, our protagonist decided to bluff and explain the situation. He asked Marcus to trust him, then revealed that he had a prophecy-like ability. Thanks to this skill, Gongja knew Marcus had a detective skill and would try to kill him. Our MC went straight to the heart of the matter. The protagonist stated that Marcus must have seen the number 4093 above his head, a sign that indicated our MC was a target to be eliminated. Marcus was shocked, but quickly hid his left arm behind his back. He then asked Gongja to guess how many fingers he was holding up, as a simple test to prove his claim. Of course, our MC couldn't guess, and as he himself had already expected, he immediately killed himself. The system then announced, "You have returned to 24 hours ago." Back at the same point, our MC was ready. He immediately explained what Marcus was about to do, from hiding his hand to asking for the number of fingers. Our MC begged Marcus to trust him. He also explained that killing him would not solve the problem on floor 12, where many people continued to lose their lives. Marcus was still not convinced. In his view, our MC might have another skill, such as clairvoyance or mind reading, that made him look like a prophet. This was no guarantee. But Gongja didn't care. He realized it wasn't easy to convince an old man who had reached the pinnacle of his field. He was willing to die and repeat continuously, even if it took weeks or months, because, "My death is longer than your life." Our MC did not ask Marcus to save him forever. He just proposed a simple agreement while holding up 5 fingers. Gongja begged Marcus not to kill him for the next 5 days, but to follow him and see for himself whether he deserved to die or not. Now, the time came for the knockout blow that Marcus couldn't refuse. Our MC revealed a secret. Gongja explained that Marcus would say something to him in the future, and when that time came, Marcus would know that our MC was a true prophet. Then, Gongja mentioned one word that shocked Marcus to his core: Sword Emperor. Marcus didn't know who the Sword Emperor was, but the fact that Gongja knew he would mention that name in the future was enough to silence the Sword Master. Finally, Marcus agreed. He would follow our MC for 5 days, observing his every move and word. After that, he would decide for himself. For our MC, this agreement was more than enough. With a satisfied smile, our protagonist managed to make one of the strongest masters trust him for a while, in order to prevent a sacrifice on floor 12. Gongja then said his farewells. See you at the next stage. On that day, our MC saw a familiar sight: hunters and imperial soldiers fighting shoulder to shoulder against monsters on floor 11. In his mind, our protagonist realized that so far, everything was going exactly as he remembered from the original storyline. However, one thing was different, and that was our MC's presence there. Suddenly, the Black Witch, leader of the Black Dragon, yelled loudly. She ordered her entire guild to advance and take command. She divided the troops, assigning Kane Munmun and the civil militia to the left and the 10,000 temples and Shangrian to the right, while the Black Dragon would break through the middle. The Black Witch even taunted anyone who dared to protest, telling them to save their energy for fighting instead of talking. The Imperial commander also became enthusiastic, ordering his troops to advance and fight alongside the warriors from another world. Beside our MC, Swordstorm commented casually. He felt it was strange because usually Gongja was always the center of attention. This time, our MC was not very prominent. Our protagonist responded calmly, saying that sometimes, not being in the spotlight was not a bad thing. Swordstorm then considered Gongja had grown up a little, a taunt that our MC immediately deflected. While they were chatting, our MC felt that he was being watched. He immediately turned around in a panic and was surprised to find Marcus standing behind him. Marcus calmly explained that he was just watching, according to their agreement. He said he needed 5 days to decide whether our MC deserved to be killed or not, so it was only natural for him to watch Gongja 24 hours a day. Our MC, of course, immediately thought Marcus was a complete freak. Marcus also reminded Gongja to keep hunting monsters, because the reward for the next stage would be based on contribution. Without realizing it, he was also helping our MC. But in our MC's mind, he just considered Marcus a top-tier stalker. Suddenly, a member of the Black Dragon yelled for our MC to back off. The Black Witch immediately turned and with a busy tone, she asked Gongja to state his business in 30 seconds. She was also busy directing her members. Our MC casually revealed that he had a prize from clearing floor 10. The prize, he explained, was the ability to see allies, enemies, and the battlefield. The Black Witch was surprised and asked for the truth of our MC's claim. When Gongja confirmed that he wasn't lying, the Black Witch immediately yelled in annoyance. She was annoyed that Gongja hadn't told her earlier. In a hurry, she immediately asked for the location of the boss monster. Our MC was surprised, but he quickly pointed to the location. Before he could explain that the boss monster was surrounded by many minions, the Black Witch cut him off. She asked if our MC agreed to use his skill. Resigned, Gongja agreed, and the Black Witch immediately used teleportation to the boss monster's location. Upon landing, the Black Witch immediately asked where the boss was. Our MC pointed to the exact location, and the Black Witch without hesitation immediately attacked. She told Gongja to use his sword. Our MC, confidently, said that her attack was enough to kill the boss monster. And sure enough, with one slash, she managed to split the monster in two. The goblin monsters who saw the scene immediately became frightened and ran away. The hunters and soldiers were surprised and yelled, telling them to chase and not let them escape. The Black Witch smiled with satisfaction. She praised our MC for his good work. She was also happy because they were able to clear this stage in less than an hour, with minimal casualties. In his heart, our MC realized why the Black Witch had looked expressionless in the previous storyline. It was because at that time, many hunters had died. Now, she looked excited because the number of casualties was much lower. Our MC concluded that the Black Witch was a very simple person. She could be sad or happy only based on the number of casualties. The Black Witch praised Gongja again, even saying our MC might want to take all the conquest rewards for himself. She acknowledged our MC as a new hero and warned that all the media would be fighting over him. Our MC realized that it was true, being recognized as a hero felt good. However, he didn't care about recognition from the media. He only wanted to be acknowledged by tough people like Marcus and the Black Witch, those who had sacrificed a lot to protect the world. He wanted to protect them from the Demon Lord, and didn't want anyone to be embarrassed or mocked. He wanted to be respected, even if it seemed impossible. He wanted to change and live like that in this slightly different world. The Black Witch said that if they continued like this, they could clear floor 20 quickly. She thought the number of casualties could be kept below 5,000. However, our MC knew that if it was left as it was, the number of casualties on floor 12 would skyrocket and important people would disappear. The casualties could reach 500,000. That's why he had to intervene. Soon after, the heretic interrogator and his friends came, praising our MC. Heretic asked if the monster boss's location was a prize from the previous stage. Gongja then asked them all to wait because he had something he wanted to say. He was relieved, because Marcus finally didn't swing his sword. Our MC reminded them of their agreement yesterday. He had asked them to listen to him when he asked for help, and he wanted them to listen to him now. Gongja then said that he wanted them to stay here for the next 5 days without doing anything. He promised to clear floor 20 in 5 days. This was the answer he had found, and he was determined to do it. The Black Witch was surprised and asked if she heard him right. She asked if our MC was really serious about this 5-day request. Our MC firmly stated that he was not kidding. The Black Witch felt it was impossible, as it had taken them years to reach floor 10. She thought Gongja was too overconfident just because he managed to clear floor 11 in a short time. Gongja then pleaded. He explained that the prize from floor 10 was his alone, yet he still shared it with everyone. The information about the monster boss on floor 11 was a shared benefit. Therefore, he felt he had the right to ask them to wait for 5 days. Our protagonist also assured them that this was his final request. The heretic interrogator interrupted. He reminded the Black Witch that they had already promised to help Gongja, as long as his request wasn't impossible. He also added that waiting 5 days was easy, especially when considering what the media would say about them. Since the request wasn't impossible, the heretic interrogator agreed. The Black Witch was hesitant, but the heretic interrogator reminded her again that a promise is a promise. Finally, the Black Witch gave in. Viper, another hunter, also agreed, saying that our MC must have his own strategy. Crusader, the paladin, also promised to remain silent for 5 days. Finally, the Black Witch consented, saying that if everyone agreed, she would also wait for 5 days. In the middle of the commotion, Marcus had a different opinion. He insisted that he never made a promise to wait. He only promised to watch our MC for 5 days. Marcus said, if Gongja went to clear floor 20, he would follow him. Our MC agreed, even feeling relieved in his heart because Marcus would follow him. He felt safer because he planned to defeat the Demon Lord alone. Gongja thanked everyone, then walked towards the door. As he opened it, Swordstorm was surprised and said that all the NPCs there were not moving. Our MC explained that it was because the quest hadn't started yet. Swordstorm was confused, and Gongja explained that no one had chosen their roles as counselors, commanders, or Imperial Knights yet. Originally, the quest from floor 12 to floor 20 was supposed to start when they entered floor 11. But because no one had chosen their roles, the quest didn't start. Our MC remembered the words of the head commander from the previous storyline who begged for his help to save the Empire. But, in the current storyline, they were all already inside this tower. Gongja concluded that the quest would start after the roles were chosen. If no one chose a role, the quest wouldn't start, the Demon Lord's attack wouldn't start, and the Imperial Army wouldn't fight. Our MC then asked Swordstorm, what would happen if the Demon Lord died in such a state? Of course, Swordstorm didn't understand. Our MC repeated his question. If the monster boss died before the quest started, then no one could choose the prize, and no requirements needed to be fulfilled. Suddenly, the Demon Lord appeared. It was angry and called our MC rude, daring to come without choosing a role. Gongja challenged back, saying that he had made the right choice. He pointed his sword at the Demon Lord, then declared that the best choice was to kill the Demon Lord before the quest started. That way, no hunter or knight would die. There would be no traitor. This was a happy ending without sacrifice. Our MC revealed that he didn't like bad endings. He preferred happy endings. The Demon Lord was shocked, seeing Gongja wanted to stop it alone, even without the help of the Empire. Our MC then raised his sword and declared that, from the beginning, a hero is supposed to fight alone. In his heart, our MC was determined. The endless 5 days had begun. Swordstorm watched our MC seriously. He commented that the Demon Lord's swordsmanship was actually quite ordinary, but it was the incredible power it possessed that made it terrifying. Gongja replied that as long as he knew the direction of its attack, he could dodge. This was a trick he often used. Our MC then drank a potion. The system announced, "You have died." In his heart, Gongja reflected. He imagined what would happen if the quiz ran normally. How many soldiers would die in this war? For each fallen soldier, at least 20 years of their life would be lost. To save such precious time, our protagonist had to be willing to be ostracized and fight alone. Our MC tried again. He returned to fighting the Demon Lord, but the attack was ineffective. Swordstorm again commented that Gongja was still weak and had yet to master his aura. Our MC, who was already annoyed, retorted, feeling that it was easy to say. The system announced again, "You have died." Gongja returned to 24 hours earlier. When he returned again, our MC continued his resistance. The Demon Lord repeated its arrogant words, wondering why the warrior of the goddess dared to come there without choosing anything. Gongja casually replied, "All right, one more attack today." He then pointed his sword and declared that a hero was supposed to cut down the Demon Lord. The system announced again, "You have died." After repeating several times, Gongja returned to the arena. This time, he taunted that the Demon Lord cut down the hero, and wondered what else there was to say. Our MC challenged the Demon Lord to come forward, saying that he was the sword of the Empire. The Demon Lord accepted his challenge, asking Gongja to prove it. In the middle of the fight, our MC kept dying and coming back to life. In his mind, he explained the concept of his ability. The world stopped, and the only thing that gave him an indication of time was his sword. To make time move, he had to attack. Every second of his sword, the world would breathe again. Gongja realized that even though he wanted to live forever, he could only live 1 second at a time. The Demon Lord was confused as to why our MC kept smiling even though he was going to die. Gongja replied with a smile, that he was very happy. He explained that the Demon Lord wouldn't understand, because it couldn't smile. The Demon Lord called our MC arrogant, but Gongja only replied that he was just being simple. The Demon Lord considered our MC a pathetic creature, and Gongja died again. However, he never gave up. He promised himself that his sword would become faster. He wanted to live longer. And he returned to floor 12, fighting alone again. This time, when he blocked the Demon Lord's attack, he felt something strange. The attack seemed to be repelled or held back by someone. He turned around and was surprised to see the Black Witch standing there. The Black Witch apologized, she couldn't hold back her curiosity and finally came. She saw Gongja playing a fun game. Our MC replied that this was a hero's game. The Black Witch agreed, "I think that's a beast worth hunting." She added that Gongja shouldn't have all the fun to himself, and wanted to join in. Our MC pretended to protest, saying that the Demon Lord was his, and the Black Witch shouldn't steal it. The Black Witch laughed and retorted that he didn't know, but taking other people's money was the most delicious thing. Gongja agreed with that. The Demon Lord was angry seeing the two of them. Gongja replied, feeling sorry because he wanted to handle this himself, but when you think about it, heroes do defeat the Demon Lord together, and that was the true tradition, wasn't it? The Demon Lord ignored them both, then summoned other monsters. The Black Witch was shocked to see the monsters appearing. She yelled at Swordstorm and Marcus, who were still silent in the back, asking them for help. She was surprised, wondering why they weren't doing anything. Marcus replied casually that he wanted to watch for a little while longer. He added, it hadn't even been 30 seconds since our MC started fighting. Our MC turned to Marcus, commenting that he was curious if he should ask for help after 1 minute. The Black Witch, who was fed up, told the two of them to grab her hands so they could escape. But Gongja refused. He then unleashed his magic, 100 Ghost Summon. Before continuing, we return to the time when the Demon Lord was first born into the world in its strange form. A strange creature that ate anything to take control of its body. The demon's form got bigger every time it got a body, it would take over like a parasite. It even got pleasure from the massacre. One day, it saw a small child, a girl, and smelled a delicious scent. The little girl screamed for her father to save her. The Demon Lord ate the girl, and all the memories of the creature it ate flowed inside it. The girl's father came to save his daughter. He said that his daughter's name was Estelle, and he had told her not to go out alone because her body was very weak. The father didn't realize that it was no longer his daughter. The Demon Lord was disguised as Estelle, the first name it ever got since arriving in the world. Our MC turned to Swordstorm and began to explain the reason behind his choice of the 100 Ghost Summon skill. He admitted that initially, he wanted a different skill, like an aura that could strengthen his sword, but after reflecting, he changed his mind. Gongja then asked Swordstorm how many people he had killed. Swordstorm was silent for a moment, then replied briefly that as he remembered, only 2 people had been killed, the slime and viper. Our MC smiled faintly and confirmed that answer, but he asked again why Marcus, who had the detective skill, said his kill count was 4,093. Gongja explained that there must be a hidden calculation method in the tower. Our protagonist then asked how many times he had died. Swordstorm was shocked and speechless. Gongja answered casually with a smile, saying that he had died many times. The Black Witch, who overheard, was also shocked. She asked if that was our MC's skill, and Gongja nodded. The Black Witch was amazed and finally understood. This was how our MC cleared floor 10 alone. The Demon Lord, who heard their conversation, was also shocked. He questioned how our MC could have a skill similar to his. Gongja retorted with a mocking tone that he would not reveal that secret. The Demon Lord became furious, feeling like he was being toyed with. He yelled, calling Gongja a tease, then remembered the goddess of hatred and his regrets. He couldn't accept the fact that our MC had an ability similar to his. Our MC ignored the Demon Lord's anger and shifted his focus to Marcus. He asked Marcus to fight alongside the skeletons he summoned. Gongja explained that if Marcus helped, they would have an advantage. Marcus sighed, agreed, and said that fighting alongside monsters was indeed horrible, but it was better than helping Gongja directly. Our MC then asked the Black Witch for help. He invited the Black Witch to face the Demon Lord together. The Black Witch agreed, but she asked Gongja not to get in her way. Our MC then used his skill. Hunter Ghosts, show me your best abilities. The thousands of monsters summoned by our MC immediately attacked the goblins summoned by the Demon Lord. Swordstorm was captivated, praising the monster's tenacity. The Demon Lord was frustrated that a person from another world who had no malicious intent or hatred could stop him. Gongja retorted that it didn't matter where he came from, he was here now. Our protagonist also warned the Demon Lord not to interfere, as the tower had already acknowledged his qualifications. We return to the past, telling the story of a woman named Estelle or the Demon Lord. She always looked young, and grew more beautiful by the day. Her enchanting aroma captivated people. She walked through the crowd. People called her the Saintess of the Border. Another woman, carrying her crying, sick baby, begged Estelle for help to heal her child. Estelle replied casually, reminding the woman of her rules. She asked the woman to leave her baby's name and return the next dawn. The woman bowed respectfully and thanked her profusely. Estelle then carried the baby, smelled its aroma, and muttered about the beautiful human scent. She smiled as she looked at the baby and said that happiness was a miracle. As she muttered, the baby's skin melted, and memories entered Estelle. She muttered that it must have been painful and promised to let the baby live a little longer. This creature enjoyed its role of helping humans. The liquid turned back into the same baby. The next day, the baby's mother came with a happy face. Estelle said that her child was healthy and asked her to keep loving her baby. A few days later, people started to worship Estelle. But it didn't last long. One day, the soldiers arrived. A soldier yelled that the goddess's power had fallen to the ground. They burned Estelle's residence and her followers, accusing her of being a witch. They yelled, calling her a cursed monster. Estelle was shocked by this attitude. Seeing her followers burned alive, Estelle said that humans were monsters more cruel than monsters themselves. She let anger consume her, cursed humans, and vowed revenge. Back to the main story, the Demon Lord immediately launched its attack. Our MC managed to dodge it, but in the next attack, he was killed, came back to life, then was killed again while memorizing the Demon Lord's attack patterns. The cycle continued while waiting for his soul summon skill to become active again. Gongja kept living and dying repeatedly, making the promised 5 days feel incredibly long. Marcus, who was watching, was puzzled, questioning whether our MC had a soothsayer's eyes for being able to see the direction of the enemy's attacks. Gongja replied that his ability was similar. Swordstorm, who was also witnessing the fight, was amazed. Sword suggested that Gongja try a double summon sometime, as he thought that ability would upgrade our MC and increase the number of creatures summoned. An annoyed Gongja retorted, telling Swordstorm to be quiet because he couldn't concentrate. When our MC died again, he yelled in frustration. Gongja blamed Swordstorm for making him repeat another week. Swordstorm casually replied that it wasn't his fault, but because Gongja himself was weak. Kim Gongja then swore that someday he would kill Swordstorm. Swordstorm laughed at him, saying that he was already dead, so he couldn't be killed. Swordstorm also motivated Gongja, suggesting he use his anger to defeat the Demon Lord. He said that he had cleared floor 20 himself, even without a cheat skill like Gongja. Our MC continued the fight. He ordered the Black Witch to attack from the right, then told Marcus to attack the other side. The protagonist gave detailed instructions, saying that if the Demon Lord's body was empty, that was the time for an all-out attack. The Black Witch and Marcus obeyed his orders. The Demon Lord was angry and threatened with its hatred, but suddenly, it fled to floor 13. A confused Gongja wondered why such a strong boss would run away when it was about to be caught. The Demon Lord threatened to return, then disappeared. The system suddenly appeared, changing the entire quest from floor 12 to floor 20 because it approved of what Gongja had done. The system asked Gongja if he wanted to accept this hidden quest, and Gongja immediately agreed. The system then announced that the hidden quest was active. The system announced that the Demon Lord's retreat had been confirmed. The floor 12 quest timeline changed completely. The Black Witch then asked Gongja what was happening. Kim Gongja replied that it was his first time seeing such a thing, too. Swordstorm was also confused. Our MC was shocked, seeing something on the castle wall. He saw the number of flags decrease drastically, different from what he had seen before. The Black Witch, who also noticed, asked Kim Gongja to hold her hand. She thought they should check it out. They teleported, and they saw an unexpected sight. The country that was once gloomy and ruined was now beautiful and colorful. Gongja realized what had happened. The timeline had changed. In the previous storyline, the Empire was invaded by the Demon Lord, a scheduled event. But in this world, that event never happened. In his heart, our MC felt proud. Without anyone's knowledge, he had rewritten the history of this world. While they were still on top of the gate wall, a soldier commander yelled angrily, asking who they were for daring to step on the Empire's gate. Our protagonist called him by name, Sarba Ejim. The commander was shocked and called Gongja a bandit. Kim Gongja, who was once considered friendly by Sarba Ejim, was now considered a bandit. He laughed uproariously, making Swordstorm and the others confused by our protagonist's behavior. Our MC felt he had succeeded, he had successfully protected the Empire. Gongja had kept his promise without shame or regret. For hundreds of days, he had fought desperately, just to ensure that not a single person died. Gongja was proud, because even though his life used to be like trash, only envying and laughing at others, today he didn't have to feel ashamed. The protagonist was not ashamed of Marcus, the Black Witch, this world, and most importantly, he was not ashamed of himself. The system immediately announced the top contributor in the previous raid, with Dead King or our MC at number 1. Commander Sarba Ejim was confused to see our protagonist. Kim Gongja yelled that he had to protect the Empire, because he had done his duty as a hero. Our protagonist was also sure that the Empire had a lot of corruption, but that was the commander's job to find out. Swordstorm laughed at Gongja, saying that our protagonist was truly crazy. He thought Gongja would mature, but instead, the protagonist was yelling like that. Gongja replied casually that he loved himself today. Swordstorm thought Gongja was losing his mind, but he also liked it. He said it was better than the protagonist being a crybaby shadow. The Black Witch, seeing Kim Gongja's behavior, realized that there were no normal people among the top hunters. Gongja immediately asked to teleport to floor 13. He and Marcus immediately held hands. The Black Witch said that the person who was in the first rank was always given priority when entering the next floor. Then the Black Witch asked Gongja to be the one to say transmit. Our protagonist agreed. When they arrived on floor 13, they were once again confronted by the Demon Lord. The Demon Lord yelled furiously, feeling that it would not forgive Gongja. The Demon Lord accused the protagonist of taking the child he had saved, mocking him, taking his flesh and blood. The Demon Lord swore to curse Gongja. Marcus was shocked, saying that was a terrifying scream, and he had never heard a voice like that before. Swordstorm turned and said that the Demon Lord looked weaker than before. Kim Gongja, who was also confused, confirmed it. Swordstorm continued, that since he was hurt by an attack from the Black Witch, the Demon Lord seemed to have suffered great damage and its level had dropped. Swordstorm compared the current Demon Lord to a Goblin King who had lost its SSS class, or like a Goblin King on floor 5. Even though, as they went up the tower, the bosses were supposed to get stronger. In his heart, Gongja thought that something unexpected had happened on this stage. The system appeared, informing him that the floor 12 quest prize was postponed until all stages up to floor 19 were completed. In exchange, our MC got a small prize, which was a map connected from floor 11 to floor 20. Our protagonist then understood. Gongja explained it to the Black Witch, asking if the Black Witch remembered the previous stage. Kim Gongja explained that the history of the Demon Lord's attack had disappeared, and the cities looked different. The refugee camps were also gone. Our protagonist told the Black Witch to think about where the refugees came from. The Black Witch was shocked. She realized that not only the empire, but the entire history of the continent had changed. Our MC confirmed that they had returned to a time before the Demon Lord attacked the empire, and they were at the point where the temple was attacked. Gongja whispered to Sword Storm that that's why the Demon Lord's level had dropped. He explained that the monster grew by killing people in the empire, but because its murders and hunts never happened, its growth was erased. That means the existence of the Demon Lord had become dim. Gongja immediately yelled to attack and raised the flag of revenge. The Demon Lord immediately ordered its minions to attack. The Black Witch, seeing the monster army, commented that she didn't like zombie movies. Gongja replied by inviting Sword Storm to make a bet. He asked how many times he would die to reach floor 19. Sword Storm accepted the bet and guessed less than 100 times. Kim Gongja replied with confidence, saying that he bet less than 99 times. Sword Storm was shocked, calling our protagonist a cheater, but he still encouraged Gongja, telling him to kill his compatriots. Well, Sword Storm added that since he and Marcus couldn't fight, they couldn't help our MC. Gongja replied that he was fine with that. He then died again and returned to 24 hours earlier. Our MC realized that he had to do something about the excessive number of zombies. He asked the Black Witch if there was a way to handle it. The Black Witch replied that she had done her best. The Black Witch then asked Gongja if he could use his skill. Gongja replied that he could, but it was still on cooldown. Kim Gongja needed 3 more deaths to use it. Our protagonist then asked Marcus to break a large stone chest there, because there was something he wanted to check. Marcus asked what he wanted to check, and Gongja replied that he would explain later, because he was a soothsayer. As a zombie bit him, our MC died again and returned to 24 hours ago. He returned to explain to Marcus that the stone chest was actually a secret sewer, where he could find a hammer that was effective against zombies. Gongja told Marcus to go with the Black Witch. Marcus replied that he had only used a sword his whole life. Our MC then explained that the hammer had a wide area of effect. Marcus only needed to put his aura on the hammer and slam it into the ground, and the zombies would be swept away. Marcus asked how Gongja knew, and our protagonist replied again, that he was a prophet. When a zombie started to bite him, our MC died again and returned to 24 hours ago. When he returned, Marcus had already handled the zombies with the hammer. Gongja then realized that he now had to face the Demon Lord, or the Giant Zombie King. Our MC guessed it was a giant soldier who protected the temple that had died and become a subordinate of the Demon Lord. Our protagonist was determined to handle the giant alone. Gongja died again and returned to 24 hours ago. Marcus asked how he could handle the giant. Gongja replied that Marcus couldn't take care of the giant with his hammer. Marcus retorted that the giant had tested his sword, so he wasn't far. Gongja again said that Marcus had to remember that he was a prophet. Kim Gongja then asked the Black Witch to aim her laser at the giant's eye. The Black Witch was very excited. Gongja thought it was perfect. Then the giant unleashed an attack from its eye, which killed our MC again. When he returned, Gongja summoned his hunter ghost summon again. The Black Witch was shocked. She realized that our MC's skill didn't even have a cooldown. Kim Gongja then told the two of them to face the giant, but he asked the Black Witch not to target its eye. The Black Witch was shocked and asked why. Gongja replied that something big was about to happen. The Black Witch was shocked to see the giant's large eye. She asked, could she really not target it? Gongja said that he knew the eye was begging to be targeted, but the Black Witch must not do it. Marcus then told the Black Witch to listen to our MC's words, because Gongja was a prophet. The Black Witch agreed. She promised to do her best to avoid the giant's eye. Gongja thanked her. When they had successfully defeated all of the Demon Lord's army, history on floor 13 changed again, and the Demon Lord retreated to floor 14. The 3 of them held hands again. As they fought, the Demon King of Valen kept retreating from floor 15, 16, to 17. In his heart, Gongja realized that history was regressing. The Demon Lord retreated to floor 19, and its existence became blurred. The Demon Lord cursed and accused our MC of causing all of this. It called Gongja just a swordsman from another world. Our MC was happy. He could finally see the Demon Lord's eyes. Gongja said that he came all this way just to see the Demon Lord's eyes. The protagonist thought that a demon lord and a warrior who couldn't make eye contact was a ridiculous tragedy. Gongja challenged the demon lord to fight with everything he had. Or, run away again? He said that if the demon lord didn't fight with everything it had, it wouldn't be able to win. The demon lord got angry. Gongja added that Estelle had warned it to fight with everything it had. If not, its time would be longer than the demon lord's history. RMC then died again. The system appeared, informing them that it would replay the trauma of the killer. Gongja thought that this was the time to tell the nightmare story. The trauma of the demon king of Valen was being created. The narrative then shifted, and we saw a village in the middle of a fire. The knights yelled that they would burn the witch's lair and would not show any mercy. They also yelled that everyone there was a cursed monster. Estelle, who saw the incident, was shocked. Her mind was shattered. She asked why humans were killing other humans. One of the knights explained that it was the will of the Holy Lord, who had commanded the emperor. The Holy Pope had also considered the people their heretics who claimed to be saintesses. The knight also said that the Mermaid Queen had given them magic power, and they kept their promise to the volcano. In Estelle's mind, she questioned who these people were, and what right they had to burn humans. She saw people who had families, protecting each other, a baby protected by its mother, and a father who was trying to protect his daughter. They were all burning. Not long after, the fire died down and everyone vanished. Estelle started to walk, remembering the names of her villagers. She fell, then called out their names. Estelle took the dirt and ate it. Someone said that they were miserable creatures, who were also human and were born as human. Estelle retorted, feeling confused as to why they had thrown her away and called her a monster, and they remained human, while her children remained monsters? She questioned whether they were the only ones who were allowed to have beauty and told them to prove it now. Vengeance then flowed like rain. Estelle said again, telling them to prove it to her, because she would curse them. In Gongja's heart, he realized that the demon lord's heart was echoing and wailing because of the rain. It was another burning village. RMC lay on the ground. Rain started to fall. Sword Storm came to him and said, telling Gongja to wake up because this was not his hell. The system then announced that the punishment was over. RMC constantly attacked the demon lord. Sword Storm saw an opportunity and yelled that the demon lord's head was empty, telling Gongja to attack immediately. RMC attacked, and he saw the demon lord's body getting smaller, with waste liquid peeling off it. The demon lord yelled, feeling that it was impossible, and called Kim Gongja a murderer of its children. Gongja told the demon lord to retreat, back to floor 20. He explained that the demon lord wouldn't be able to defeat him, so it was better to go back to its hometown. RMC looked at the demon lord and said that he would leave the final attack to Marcus. The demon lord was surprised, and then history immediately changed. The system said that its class had retreated to floor 20. The Black Witch asked Kim Gongja about what was happening. Our protagonist replied that he wanted to clear floor 20 alone. He thanked them for their help, but he wanted to finish the battle with only the demon lord. The Black Witch was fine with that, because she felt she had already broken her promise to be silent for 5 days. Marcus interrupted, saying that after today, it would be 5 days, and he wanted Gongja to meet him alone after clearing floor 20. Gongja bowed respectfully, agreed, and said, "Transmit." The system then appeared, writing, "Welcome, Death King. You have entered the boss stage. The challenger is Death King, 1 person. May luck be with you." The system also said that the rewards for clearing floors 11 through 19 had been calculated. The tower acknowledged RMC's achievement. Gongja was given the power to free anything, and the limited power of an apostle was given to him. In his heart, RMC thought that the tower gave him a choice. He wondered why the tower was built and by whom. Gongja guessed the tower was an entity that watched over their decisions. Kim Gongja then said to the demon lord that it was time to die. The demon lord yelled that it was its village, and no one was allowed to destroy its paradise. The system then appeared and said that the demon lord's status had been opened. RMC looked at the sky. There were no clouds, and he thought it wouldn't rain today. He then prepared to attack. The demon lord yelled that it would not forgive Gongja. It said that it could still see the burning fire in its eyes, and the smell of burning was still etched in its head. It asked why RMC was trying to burn its paradise again. In his heart, Gongja thought that it was the smallest world and the weakest boss monster in the world. The demon lord started to attack. When it got closer, Kim Gongja blocked its sword very easily. The protagonist said that their situation was completely reversed. On floor 12, the demon lord was the demon lord, and he was the warrior. The demon lord attacked, and he defended. Gongja thought it was fair. The demon lord was shocked. Our MC focused on parrying and blocking the demon lord's sword, and said that the word sorry was the most meaningless word for him. Gongja managed to split the demon lord in two. The system then appeared, saying that the existence of the demon king of Valen was fading. Gongja attacked again. He said that the demon lord was weaker now. The system appeared again, saying the same thing. The existence of the demon lord was fading even more. Our MC said, just a little more. The system appeared again, saying that the class adjustment had started, and the demon king of Valen's summon class had been revoked. The demon lord panicked, it yelled, feeling that it was impossible. Our MC replied that the demon lord was weak enough now. The demon lord was panicking and scared. Gongja told it to end it with his sword, or it would stand in front of him. Estelle then appeared. She said that they all did that to her, and also to her children, and they didn't even have the right to do that. Gongja replied that Estelle was wrong. As Estelle said, our MC was an outsider from another world. Gongja confirmed that the emperor and other soldiers burned Estelle. But, not a single person in this world was free from that responsibility. Our MC was not a complete outsider, and he had the freedom to choose. Estelle never asked for accountability from him, and of course, she didn't have the power to stop him. Estelle was shocked. She said, she only healed. Gongja replied, you mean you didn't do anything bad? He explained that Estelle, just like now, might have been scared. She might have screamed for help, looking for her father. But what did Estelle do to the other children? She even ate a newborn child that her mother entrusted to her, and that way pretended to be good by saving people. She betrayed the people who trusted her. Estelle was shocked and yelled that she didn't do it, she just. Gongja immediately cut her off. He said that Estelle hid the fact that she had swallowed Estelle and the children, even though she knew that people would understand. Gongja added that he stayed quiet because Estelle was treated as a monster. Estelle panicked, she said that she didn't know. At that time, she had no human memories or knowledge. Gongja replied, you say you did it because you didn't know? Estelle confirmed, she said if she had known, she would never have done it. Gongja replied, that's what humans do. He explained, the king who burned Estelle would make the same excuse. Of course, some people would lie, but could Estelle be sure that everyone was like them? The soldiers were just following the king's orders. What about the people who had to evacuate after living in their territory for a day? Wouldn't any of them say, I didn't know, I'm sorry, I was stupid? Our MC said that the justice of this world was more than just justice. If Estelle believed what she swallowed and regurgitated was human, was that true? Wouldn't it be fair if she also went through the same thing? Estelle was confused. Gongja said that he wanted to use the conquest reward. He said that he could modify his skill as he wished. The system appeared, confirming Kim Gongja's words, but he couldn't be too excessive. The system gave an example, evolving a rank SS skill to SSS was possible. Our MC said that he wanted to modify the 100 Ghost Summon skill. He hoped to change the part that didn't inherit memories, only when he wanted them to. He wanted the summons to have their memories from when they were alive. Estelle was shocked. Gongja asked, how? Isn't that logical? He said that he didn't even ask for their abilities to be maintained, or ask for the cooldown to be reduced. He just asked for their memories. The system then processed his request. The tower confirmed that it was still reasonable, and Kim Gongja's request was approved. In his heart, he thought this was his first SSS class skill. Gongja said to Estelle, good. From now on, I will kill you. He added, if Estelle didn't like it, just think of it as him swallowing others. He would swallow Estelle, just as Estelle swallowed the original Estelle and the sick children. Gongja was happy because Estelle was human. If Estelle was a monster, she wouldn't be eligible to be summoned with 100 Ghost Summon. Estelle then pulled out a big sword and attacked the protagonist. Luckily, the protagonist managed to dodge it quickly. Swordstorm saw Estelle's attitude and said that her movements were inconsistent. She didn't plant her feet correctly, and she wasn't even looking forward. Swordstorm considered her just a swordsman who relied on her aura and skill, not a true swordsman. He told our MC to pay attention to the importance of fundamentals. In the end, all a human could rely on were their hands and feet. Estelle's sword fell or broke, making her sit on the ground in agitation and frustration. In his heart, Gongja thought that was something that gathered deaths, as the demon lord said. Suddenly, Swordstorm restrained Gongja, and said that he wanted to intervene. He said he didn't regret it, he just said that because he was bored. Gongja was annoyed, asking what else he had to say. Swordstorm replied that Gongja was taking things too lightly. Our MC got even more annoyed. Swordstorm continued, let's make sure she's not a monster anymore, but is she really human? He questioned whether NPCs could be targets of the 100 Ghost Reincarnation skill. Gongja was shocked. Swordstorm explained that the skill didn't apply to monsters, but they didn't know if it applied to NPCs. He told Gongja to check his skill card. Our MC was shocked and yelled in annoyance, NPCs are also human. Gongja gave up, and called the tower. The system appeared, saying that the tower was listening. Gongja asked if the 100 Ghost Recognition skill also recognized NPCs he had killed, or only hunters. The system began to change its text. The tower is confirming the question. Cannot be confirmed. Question exceeds the tower's authority. The tower confirms the questioner's authority. Past. Death King currently has temporary apostle qualifications. The tower acknowledges Death King's question as an official agenda item. The tower requests a majority conference to the 6 constellations of 10,000 lives. Our MC was shocked, he yelled, asking to wait and what he wanted.